Well, hello, everybody. Trucker Todd here. And as you can see, I wasn't prepared. I got black crap all over my face. I've been unloading a truck all day. Yes, it's not clickbait. Today, I lost the Kenworth. And quite frankly, not too long ago, I was really kind of down, discouraged. I worked my tail off unloading that truck today. Did it in about 2.5, 3 hours, which is about half the time it usually takes me to move out of a truck. And so uh, it wasn't easy, but I got it done. We're going to talk about that today. And then when I was just getting ready to come on the air, uh, about 45 minutes ago, I got a call. The Corvette is done. Yes, you heard me correctly. The Corvette is done. So tonight we're going to talk about the Corvette being done. We're going to talk about me losing the Kenworth. We're going to talk about what that means for my working relationship with Scott, if I'm still with him, if I'm going somewhere else, and probably a lot more. You guys always hit me with a few curveballs, and I never know what we're going to talk about. But before we do that, let me say hello to our channel sponsors. It's the same Magnificent Seven that we've had almost from the beginning. The first week that we started the membership thing, we had these people join. They're guys that have week in, week out been big supporters of the show, and I really appreciate them. They're going to get some exclusive content. As far as the next truck I get, they'll see it a couple of days before everybody else does, and things like that. If you're interested in becoming a channel member, just click that join button below the video and it will tell you how to do it. It's just a few dollars a month, like $5 a month. So it's not something that's going to bankrupt you or nothing like that. But anyway, let's start with the very first channel member and work our way to the most recent one. We've got Ramon, RGB, Snowman, Robbie Ross, Corey Oatley, John Toohey, and Midlife Trucker, who some people tease me as a co-host because he's always active in the comments, and we're glad to have him here. But yeah, let's before we jump into all that, let's say hi to people that have been waiting. I set this live up several hours ago, and so some people have been waiting for a long time. Very first in here today was Gary Cook. Got here at 12:49, so he's been waiting almost 6 hours. So hello, Gary. Thank you for being the first one in here. And Gary's another one, big supporter of the channel. Fly Rabbit is here. He contacted me earlier, was kind of wanting an update, and he kind of called me at the climax of bad today. Everything was falling apart. I just found out I was going to lose the truck. I was scrambling, and I couldn't really answer his questions to the degree that he probably would have liked or deserved or whatever. But he's here. Obviously, what I was telling him at the time when we were on the phone is much different now because the Corvette's done. Everything changes tomorrow. This is what we've been waiting for. Quite frank, well, we'll get into that later in the show. Let's say hi to a few more people first. Asphalt Jungle is here. Thank you for being here, sir. He's another one that's always real supportive of the channel, gets in here really quick. Blue Smoke says, find a good, clean lease purchase opportunity. We're going to talk about that tonight. I've got some plans, and we'll talk about if me and Scott are done. A lot of people assume when I lost the Kenworth that meant the end of me and Scott working together. Truth is, I don't really know yet, but I don't think so. I ran in the door. You can see I still got dirt on my face from cleaning out the truck. I worked like a dog today. Just drinking some ice water, trying to get hydrated again. Wife made me some ice water while I was getting ready for the show. Let's see here. Roger Berry says he'll listen to the rerun in the morning. That sounds good, my friend. And the Fast Healing Adam is here. He says, I'll be listening. I finally made it back to work. Man, you're going back awful quick. Roger Berry says, damn, that sucks. Lost the truck after all the hell of trying to get it fixed. Yeah, but it may end up being a blessing in disguise. Like I said, I've got to see some things this week, and we're going to talk about that today too. Today, I called Scott, the owner of SRO, him and his wife, and kind of told him the situation. I said, I'm going to let you know by Thursday evening or Friday morning if I'm going to be able to stay. Now, keep in mind what a lot of companies would have done. A lot of companies would have said, hey, Todd, we've done a lot for you. We've stuck our neck out for you. We need you to figure it out. We need you to get your butt back out here and deliver some loads. What did Scott say? Scott said, hey, Todd, I understand it's been tough. If it doesn't work out, you can save up some money, get another truck, and come back at a later date. The door is going to be open for you. Just a real supportive, positive, upbeat phone call. And so we're going to talk about that tonight too. So I continue to be impressed with him and his company. And it's the little things like that if you've never worked for a crappy company, then you may not realize when you're at a good company. With that title, this show will be standing room only. Yeah, it's not clickbait. That was channel member Midlife. It's not clickbait. I did lose the Kenworth today. That's done. But we'll get into it, though. We got some time. You guys usually want to go 2 or 3 hours, so we got time to break it all down. And we'll get it covered. But I want to get caught up. Midlife's comment was from over 2 hours ago, so I want to get some of these comments in, and then we'll jump into it. Finance or leasing company most likely didn't have a choice. Sorry to hear this news. Yeah, that's I see their side of it too. I'm not mad. I'm a little sad, not mad, but because I love that truck. But I heard another YouTuber Snore Lord a couple of months ago, and he was talking about getting rid of one of his trucks because of all the stress and stuff in his life. And I get it. So I'm still processing my thoughts on it. Obviously, my thoughts have changed since I got the Corvette done today. But yeah, it's looking like there's going to be a happy ending after all. SRJ says, Blue Smoke, does such a lease exist? Not sure there is. I'm a little nervous of all lease purchases right now. I finally started looking today just in the event that I couldn't save things at SRO. And I didn't see anything that I got real excited about. And I'll be bluntly honest with you. I'm not aware of a deal in this country where I'm going to get as good a deal as what I got now. I could show you with F2F, with Swift, with Dart. I could show you a vertical trajectory where I felt like each time I made a move, I was improving my life. I don't see a scenario where I could leave SRO and vertically go up. It would be a few steps down. And so I'm going to do some pretty crazy and ridiculous things if I have to stay here at SRO, because I just believe I've got a far superior advantage. But I can rest a little easier knowing that he's telling me, hey, the door's open. If you need to go work somewhere, he suggested as a company driver, he said, hey, if you need to go drive a company truck for a few months and save up some money, there's going to be a spot for you when you're ready to come back. And so that takes a little heat off of me. That's kind of a safety net. But now it's, can I find another truck? Which I've got a couple picked out. One is in California, and I'd need about 8,000 down. And one of them is right here near Lubbock, and I'd need a couple of thousand down. And so I'm looking at those deals and kind of trying to decide what my next move is going to be. Midlife Trucker channel member says, hopefully if we're having this show, Todd has another truck lined up. Yeah, like I said, I've got 2 lined up. Just not sure. Things can crop out at the last minute. We're still just halfway there now. Now I got to pick up the car tomorrow. I've got to sell it. My bank is looking at possibly giving me a loan against it, like a line of credit where I could run my maintenance and kind of get back on my feet. And, I'm also looking at selling it tomorrow. So it's going to be whatever I can do to get the quickest money to get back out here. I am going to contact the legitimate offers I got on Facebook. If one of them wants to show up, then that's a deal too. Somebody at my wife's work wanted to buy the car, but it was out of his price range. He couldn't do it. Hopefully a company truck. I also hope he was able to sell the Corvette and pay the bills and start the process of rebuilding the credit score, says SRJ. Not yet, but things did progress pretty quickly later in the day. That's what I've been saying is that, and that's what I kept trying to explain to the finance company. Things can be really grim, and then, 30 minutes later, it could all change. Everything was waiting on a few things to happen, and those few things happened today, but they ironically happened after the Kenworth had been pulled out from under me. And I told him, as soon as you pull it out from under me, it'll probably be ready. And upon getting it back, I did email the finance company and told them. So we'll see. It's possible they'll contact me tomorrow. We'll make a deal. But at this point, they've treated me so crappy that I just don't know if I want to deal with them anymore. Here's the deal. The truck has roughly 3.5 years to pay off, something like that. Odds are, sometime in the next 3.5 years, that truck's going to break down again, probably several times. Odds are, during one of those breakdowns, it's going to be an extended breakdown. Now, hopefully, I've saved up enough money that when that extended breakdown happens, I'm fine. However, if I get nickeled and dimed down again to where I don't have a lot of reserve money, I already know the finance company's not going to work with me. And the question becomes, do I want to put myself in that position again? And so we'll see. I'm still, like I said, I just got this now about an hour ago that the Corvette was done. And so I'm still processing everything. I was expecting by Friday. I'd told Scott probably by Friday I'll know something. But now things look like they're going to be accelerated. I did shoot Scott and Rose over at SRO Logistics an email and tell them that the Corvette was sold. And, of course, they were excited for that. And they're hoping that I'll have some good news for them, too. Go company driver until this economy and rates are way better. That's what's funny, though. The economy and the rates haven't been what hurt me. I've been making the revenue. I've been making the money. It's the shops. It's you take it in for a repair that they go, oh, yeah, this is just going to be a day or two. And then it's 3 weeks. And the Corvette, you take it in there, it's just going to be a day or two. And then it's almost a month. And so those are the things that have set me back. But the problem with going company driver, not saying I'm better than that or that I couldn't do that. It's just that it would be a substantial pay cut, substantial. And, there's opportunities right here for me in Lubbock. Red Raider Reloading knows, I don't know if he's in here right now. He knows a company and I know a company that I could probably go in there and have a home every other day job, company driver, but I'd make $1,000, $1,200 a week. And that's about half of what I make now. So it'd be a little bit of a pay cut. And so granted, I wouldn't have to worry about truck repairs and things like that. But I think, some people do that. Some people have adversity hit them or have struggles hit them, and they just give up and run away. And maybe I should do that. Maybe I'm too dumb to know when to quit. But I think I'm still in the game. I think I'm still alive. I think I was down for about an 8 count, but I think I'm back up on my feet, and I think I can continue fighting. But we'll see. It's like I said, now that Now that things are coming into focus and I can kind of see where everything's at, then I can react and make some positive changes come about. SRJ says, great idea, asphalt jungle. Yeah, it's just, I had a guy the other day, he called me. He's like, Todd, you can get on at my company. He said, I usually take home about $900 a week. Well, that's roughly a third of about what I make now. So that's a pretty big pay cut. Now, I'm not saying I'm too good for it. If all the doors close on me and I have no other options, then that's something I'll look at. But you got to keep in mind, since April, everybody's been telling me this is the end, Todd. There's no way you can recover from this. I had this accident. Everybody said, Todd, it's over. Nobody's going to hire you for at least a year. Your life is over. You might as well go work at the grocery store. I heard that over and over. You might want to sell cars again. Well, I ended up getting the best job I've ever had at SRO Logistics. The very best job I've ever had. Then this truck went down. Everybody's saying, Todd, it's over. There's no way you can recover from this. You're going to have to get a company job. You may not even be able to drive a truck anymore. I had somebody tell me the other day, you won't even be able to do a lease purchase because they're going to see you failed at one and nobody's going to let you do it. Well, I've got two opportunities on the table right now. So I guess, people keep telling me you can't make it. It's too hard. It's too bad. The economy's too bad. And I keep making it. Maybe I'm just too dumb to know when to quit, but I'm not ready to throw in the towel yet. Roger Berry says, yes, company driver is probably the best move now until this economy gets back on track. I was talking about this ironically with Fly Rabbit earlier today. There's a lot of truck drivers that have what's called a victim mentality. And the economy it's rough, but it's not impossible. But they're always saying, oh, it's gloom and doom. Hey, when we had $3 a mile loads, we had guys griping, oh, it should be $4 a mile. It should be $5 a mile. I'm the type that I learn to adapt and adjust to whatever the environment is. I can make money in this market, maybe not as much as I'd like to, but I can survive in this market and build equity in a truck at the same time. But I have to have some things go my way. And the Peterbilt dealer here in Lubbock up until now has always treated me great. This time they really dropped the ball. And quite honestly, I'll probably never go there again. So that's what I needed to have happen. I needed them, when they said 2 days, I needed it to be 2 days, not 3 weeks. And that's what got me. Fortunately, I had a supportive carrier that I was working for that was understanding, wasn't giving me a lot of grief, was patient with the explanations when I said, hey, I don't know anything yet. I'm going to need a little more time. He's like, all right, no problem. I was just checking on you. So that makes it a lot easier. It's kind of like when I was at Swift and I had that OOC Jimmy. He was a great guy. That made it very easy to work for him. It made it pretty easy to make money with him, to be quite honest. And several of you have said, why don't you tell Scott goodbye, go back to Swift? Well, first of all, Scott hadn't done anything wrong. And that's what I was telling him on the phone. I said, tonight's going to be a hard video to do because this is the first time I've ever been in a situation where it was completely my fault. Usually in any kind of situation, it's both parties' fault. When a husband and wife split up, usually they both did some things wrong in the marriage that caused the problem. Here, I have nothing on Scott. He has not. There's not one instance I can point to where he made a decision or where he said something that negatively impacted my business. This was all on me. And, he mentioned today, yeah, if we were playing armchair quarterback, there's probably some things you and I could have done differently early on that might have made a difference. And he's right about that. But we never know. We have to make decisions based on the cards that were dealt. And so that's what makes this tough is he's been great. And if there's any way I can stay with him, that's what I'm going to do. company driver, I mean, like I said, there's nothing wrong with it. I just think we're too early for that. Channel member Robbie Ross says, hello from Phoenix on my home time. Good deal, my friend. And channel member John Toohey is here. Good to see you again, man. Russell Freight Services says, hey, Todd. And my good friend Red Raider Reloading. Hello, everyone. Hope all is well with you. Yes, sir. Much better than I thought it was going to be tonight. I've been dreading this Tuesday night video since I did the Thursday one because I was really expecting to bring you guys a lot of bad news tonight. And it all panned out. And I know there's some people ticked. Some of the trolls, I mean, we're up to almost 90 people right now. Some of the trolls were hoping tonight was the night. They were going to tell me how stupid I was and what a failure I was and how that my trucking career was over and get melodramatic. And I'm still swinging. It's granted not the way I wanted to be swinging, but that's what you do sometimes. Sometimes you get a rotten situation and you just got to turn it around and deal with the cards that you're dealt. And like I said, as of now, the only thing I have left of the Kenworth is one key. But I did email the finance company, told them the Corvette was sold, out of the shop. If I sell it tomorrow and the money's there, I'm willing to have a conversation with them. There's another truck in California that they'll fly me out to pick up, and I can keep working with Scott. That deal's still on the table. And then there's the one that's about 100 miles from here. That deal is on the table. So it's far from over yet. And, I just I can't believe how quickly people give up. And the mistake is always to count me out. And I said that the other day. I said, the trolls are so sure I'm going to fail. And I said, the fun is going to be watching their faces when I don't, when they think it's all over and the end is here, and then I pull it out of the hat some way. And rest assured, I'm going to find a way. Red Raider Reloading says, midlife trucker, when I talked to him yesterday, the vet was not fixed yet. Yeah, it is now, Red Raider. I think I texted you and told you probably later after you sent this comment. And we joked about maybe still going and paying that mechanic a visit. Hey, Tim Back is here. Red Raider says, leaving Wichita Falls, heading to DFW. Channel member John says, what do you know, Tim? And Tim says, what's cooking, John? John says, John channel member, I got to remember to say that. I'm still getting unloaded at this food DC. He's been there 5 flipping hours. Well, hopefully you're getting some detention pay there, John, and counting. 5 hours, and who's counting? My carrier's sending me to Disney World. Unfortunately, it's just to deliver a couple of forklifts. Midlife, that's where you need to break down, have a flat tire, something like that that's going to take a few hours to fix. Maybe a stopped up fuel filter, something like that. A headlight that's really tricky to change, maybe some mud flaps that need to be replaced, things like that. Do a super good pre-trip inspection while you're at Disney. Tim says, yeah, that sucks, John. Food loads can be a pain. And my good friend Ted is here. I'm here but driving. Hope all is well. And channel member Robbie Ross says, don't forget to click the thumbs up, y'all. Steve says, thumbs up. Thank you, sir. Asphalt says, I better grab a snack and a drink. Russell says, what's up, everybody? Channel member Midlife. Up to 50 thumbs up, and the show hadn't even started yet. Now that's a record. Yeah, it's I knew it was going to be a big show, but here's the deal. probably about 60% of you have been super supportive. Prayers, phone calls every day, uh, to the point sometimes it's hard to get anything else done. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Quite honestly, many of you treat me a lot better than my own family and friends do. And so uh, I appreciate y'all more than you'll ever know. And it's a motivator to keep me going a lot of times, especially on tough weeks and tough months like this last 30 days has been. The other 40% of you, though, you're like on the edge of your seat waiting for me to fail so you can laugh at me and tell me, see, I told you so. And so a lot of you are in here tonight. You thought this was going to be the night. You might get to see Trucker Todd cry because his Kenworth's gone. He may not get to drive a fancy truck no more. And there's no clickbait here. As I told you, as of now, the Kenworth is not mine anymore. It's possible tomorrow they change their mind. Hey, Todd, let's make a deal. It's possible that other deal goes through. My wife's off work tomorrow. We're going to go sell the Corvette and go truck shopping. So it's not over yet. But I appreciate both of you. I appreciate you haters that push me to be better. And I appreciate you supporters that kind of give me a thumbs up and tell me it's going to be okay. So there's room for both of you, and I appreciate y'all all. But I knew a lot of you. See, they're dropping off now. They're like, oh, crap, he's not ticked off. Robbie Ross says, I take credit for that, LOL. All right. Well, you're welcome to it, man. Hopefully that helps. Yeah. Hopefully. I appreciate you, Steve. Is the show still on? Yeah, we of course you know that by now. We're about 30 minutes into it. But we had Technical Tuesday. It was supposed to start at 6:30. I think some of you text me and I said 6:30. But for some reason, StreamYard was anxious for this show too, and it started it at 6:15. Red Raider says, yes, he's running late. Yeah, it's been a day. So here's the deal. I was over unloading the Kenworth, and my wife texted me. She got out of work early, and I couldn't get over to her because I was unloading the Kenworth. So she waited at work while I finished up, and then I came and got her. And then we rushed home, and surprise, surprise, it's Tuesday. I was having some phone issues, so I was dealing with those. And 6:30 was honestly the earliest I could have got on the air. And that's why I didn't respond to any of your comments today. I just set it up so it'd be ready to go when I knew I could get on air tonight. Steve says, okay, thanks. What you want to bet? It's Technical Tuesday issues. The prophetic, not pathetic, prophetic, the prophecy fulfilling Tim Back. Yes, it was definitely Technical Tuesday. Red Raider reloading, LOL. Technical glitch. Yeah, and did y'all notice when I went from the countdowner to the intro, it hiccuped there too? It's just everything's crazy tonight. And we'll skip through my stuff. Red Raider said it said 6:15. Yeah, I don't know why it says that. Asphalt noticed it too. Tim says that too, that it showed it in the notifications. Must have, yeah, that's a great point, Red Raider reloading. Must have a mechanic's watch on. So I'm working on the same stopwatch that shop that was working on my Corvette was working on. They told me 2 days, and it took, about 3 weeks. So, I told y'all 6:15. It was actually 6:30. Channel member Robbie Ross, the worms are causing glitches, LOL. Yeah, it's been a night, man. This last 30 days has been something I'll never forget. Tim Back says, I think the man deserves a little latitude, so let's give him all some allowances. I got a better idea. Let me give the address of that mechanic, and y'all go take your frustrations out on him. No, I'm not inciting a riot. It's a joke. Nobody go beat up my mechanic. Red Raider says we'll start chanting, Todd, Todd, Todd. I need that every morning when I wake up. I need like a recording that chants, Todd, 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 to motivate me to get up. No Fear is here. Says, hey, everyone. Alaska Hall says, howdy. Tim Back says, my suggestion to you, Todd, is to figure out what's best for you and your family and do it. I wish and pray nothing but the best for you, my friend. Those who know you and care about you understand. Well, I appreciate that, Tim Back. I just, I'm feeling pretty optimistic. That car getting done was a big shot in the arm. And it was funny when they called, my wife and I were just sitting there talking, and we were like, every day this drags on is just hurting a little more and a little more. And then about that time, the phone rang, hey, it's done. And so now I just got to run by and pick it up tomorrow. Alaska Hall says, Todd, losing that truck's a blessing. It's not always a good situation to be in. Pack cars with that mileage start breaking apart, and they're very pricey to fix. I'll tell you, it's been bulletproof so far. So I'm not sure if this one would collapse, but I get it. It's my same fear about buying another one tomorrow. Let's say right now finances are down, and this is why the guys that are saying go out and take a company job, this is why there's a little bit of validity to what they're saying, because if I go buy another truck tomorrow, I need just a smidgen of good luck to happen. Because if I have a big breakdown, say a $2,500, $3,000 repair in the first month, it's not going to be impossible to take care of, but it's going to be hard. And so, in theory, you think, well, if I went out and ran company driver for a little while, I could save up some money. But you take such a pay cut when you do it that you might not save anything. So I've got to keep all that in mind. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to discount it. I'd really like to keep that Kenworth, but it's just, there's so many obstacles there. I mean, if I get it back, I've still got to get the APU fixed. I haven't done that yet. It's later on down the line going to have some other stuff done. And it might be time to just cut my losses on that truck and take my shot. I'm looking at an older mid-2000s W900. The thing I don't like about it is it has that Cummins ISX engine. I'd prefer to have the Cummins X15 that would come in a newer one. But once I know tomorrow what my financial situation is a little better, then I'll make the best possible decision. I can get that truck really cheap for like $2,000 down, and that'll allow me to have, several $1,000s in savings in case I do get a repair pretty early on. So we may run over and take a look at that tomorrow. Like I said, I can go with a little bit of confidence and comfort now because I know Scott's going to stand behind me, that I've still got a job if I can put this deal together. It is a little bit of a hassle because we found out how the plates and everything's going to work. He can overnight me that stuff, but I'll still have to go to Gulfport because I want him to put the decals on. The decals he did on this Kenworth are perfect. There's not one single bubble in them. It looks like they were done by a mega carrier. And I know he did them. I watched him put them on, and I helped a little. I held tape and stuff. But it was another one of them situations where he did 90% of the work. I must have got dehydrated over there. I'm drinking a lot of water now. Josh says, yeah. Start a NASCAR countdown. T-, says Robbie Ross, channel member. Sorry, my voice will come on here in a minute. Please do. My wife just said she's going to turn the air up. I get hot when I do these shows. Red Raider Reloading says, what makes you think he lost it? I put in the title, I lost the truck. And so that part is not clickbait. Now, like I said, they They reluctantly took it from me. They were just like, well, you don't know when you're going to have the money, and we got to know something. Now that we know when I'm going to have the money, I'm going to wait and see what the Corvette sells for tomorrow, and then we'll make a decision from there. Alaska Hall says, title says it. Yes, it does. Right Way to Truck says, present. Thank you for being here, sir. We're catching up quickly now. We're going to get there, folks. Daryl says, hey, Todd, I'm watching from McPherson, Kansas. Well, thank you for being here, sir. Red Raider says, oh, I didn't read it, just clicked on it. Yeah, but you got a good excuse, Red Raider. You're driving. I appreciate you being here. Or, well, you may be at a store unloading right now, but either way, you're busy. I'm just glad you made it in. Steve says, WeWork went under today. Later, when you're not busy, will you look into that? WeWork went under today. See what you can find on it. If it's good, I may do a video on it tomorrow. Hey, long time no see. DIY is here. Thank you for being here, sir. I agree with you, Steve. He says it's a miracle. The vet is done. Yeah, now watch me. Watch me show up tomorrow, pick the car up, and it dies as I'm leaving the parking lot, or throws a rod out the side of the block, or has an electrical fire and burns to the ground. Actually, that would be a blessing. The insurance would pay it off. But I just, the way that this month has gone, I just keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. Midlife says, you know, it's late out here in the Eastern time zone. Yes, sir. And I hate doing these shows late anyway, because in about an hour, a bunch of you are going to drop off and go to bed. Channel member Midlife says he just saw a ghost go by in the background. Yep, that's my wife. She's gone underground since all that's happened lately. Did you find anything on it, Paula? They did. So she confirmed WeWork has filed for bankruptcy. I hadn't had a chance to look at any stories yet. I'll try to look at it after the show and put out some information on it if I can find something that'll allow me to articulate any. Clarence Huntley says, hello, Trucker Todd. Sorry to hear the news. Were you able to sell the Corvette? Nope, they just finished it today, about 15 minutes before they closed. And so there wasn't time for me to get over there and pick it up and do the show. And plus, the place I'm going to sell it would have been closed by the time I got there. So that's a tomorrow project. I'll be working on that tomorrow when I wake up. Gary Cook says, how far behind were you on your payments? 2.5 weeks. And like I said, they reluctantly took it, and it was just because I couldn't give them a date. I've been telling them for a week, tomorrow. And there was some frustration on their part. But yeah, I was 2.5 weeks behind. The thing I have learned, and that, you know, anytime you have a failure or a setback, you need to say, what have I learned from it? Yeah, the next truck I purchase, I'm not doing weekly payments unless it's in a lease purchase with a mega carrier and I have to. I'm going to set them up monthly. And I've got 2 companies that are willing to do that with me and still let me work for SRO. And the reason is, just like this, you know, if I'd have been on a monthly payment plan, I would have still been able to stay alive, stay in the game. But weekly, they're like, oh, you're 2.5 payments behind. We're freaking out. And so that's my one takeaway initially, is that I don't want to be in that position again where I've got that weekly deal over me. Channel member Midlife says, one of us is old and running night train. I'm coming off 4+ days of home time and headed to Disney World to deliver forklifts in the morning. Oh, so you got a long night ahead of you anyway. Gary Cook says, did PACCAR ever get back to you? Not that I know of. I've had some phone issues, so it's possible they tried to call. A lot of people have left me voicemails I didn't get, but it's kind of a mute point at this point unless I'm able to get the Kenworth back. So we'll see what happens with the finance company tomorrow. Channel member Midlife, he's the eternal optimist. He noticed that I haven't had to get rid of my piano yet. And that's true. I've still got my piano. You guys will know when times get hard when the piano's gone. But who knows? Later tonight, I'm in such a celebratory mood. Maybe later tonight, I'll sing y'all a couple of songs, play some piano. SRJ says, "Don't buy a truck. Not the time to do it. Take Scott's advice and get on as a company and get back on your financial feet." Well, a couple of things there. First of all, it's actually the other way around, especially if you buy from individuals. Right now, you can get some pretty good deals on trucks because people are needing money so bad. Now, you got to make sure that there's not hidden defects and things like that. And I'm trying to free my son up tomorrow to go with me to go look at trucks. He's having to work pretty hard right now to keep his shop above water. Secondly, Scott didn't advise that I go get a company job. What he said was, if I had to, that there would still be a door open for me at any time if I wanted to come back. I guess I need to clarify that. He would love nothing more than if I could remain an owner operator with him. He even he knows a driver that's stopped driving and is selling their truck, and he even suggested that truck for me. Couldn't make the numbers work on that deal, but no, he's still trying to find me a truck. But he's saying that was just an example. He's saying, if I had to go all the way to the bottom and start over again, that there's still going to be a spot for me when I'm ready. And so, but he wasn't advising me either way. That's another thing while we're talking about Scott. That's another thing I like about him. That's why I put his information in the ticker. Sure, would I love it if y'all told him I sent you? Yeah, it makes me look good. If you're terrified that I'm going to get a benefit about it, then fine, don't mention me. But if you got a truck, that's the place to work. And, that's part of why I like him, because there's a lot of companies out there that they're good to you, but they try to control you, either visibly in front of you or kind of behind the scenes. And he doesn't do that. He's real hands off. You run your business, he'll run his business. Obviously, there's some safety things he wants you to follow as far as, log in and how to create a trip and things like that. But he's real easy to deal with. And he wasn't suggesting I go company. He wasn't saying, hey, this is what I think you should do. He was just saying, if things get bad and you have to do that, there's still going to be a spot for you. That, if it takes you 6 months, there's still going to be a spot. If it takes you a year, there's going to be a spot. As long as there's an SRO logistics, there's a spot for me. And I think there's a couple of reasons he was saying that. Obviously, it was for motivation and encouragement, but also so that I don't leave and think, well, I burnt that bridge, I can't go back. Obviously, if I quit him right now, I'd be a little bit burning the bridge because he'd have to come to Lubbock and get the trailer. But I'm going to do it as good as I can. It's what I told him. I said, if we get to that point, if Friday I'm calling you, I'm still going to pay you. Let me know what I owe you, and we're going to settle up. I may be sending you $50 a week, but we're going to make it right. I'm not going to screw this guy over. Like I said, I told him today, I said, this is the only time I've ever been in a situation where I can't point to anything. I can't say, well, he said something on the 15th of this month that totally screwed me up. Or he created a policy on this day, and because of this policy, I can't make money. Or he violated the contract. Or I don't have none of that stuff on him. And so that just makes me want to live up to my end of the deal that much more, because he's lived up to his end of the deal. And if we reach a point where I can't, then I'm still going to say, all right, I wasn't able to do what I said I would do. What's the next best thing I can do to keep things kosher between us? No Fear says, keep moving forward. Yes, sir. Kid behind the wheel says, hi, Todd, go company driver for now. Yeah, I just don't see that happening. It just doesn't pay enough. Tim Back Trucking says, I agree. I'm making money in this market. It's hands down the truck. If it runs, you make it. If you don't, you don't. Yeah, and tonight there's a strong chant for me to go company, and I get it. It's the safe option, but it's at about a half or a third of what I'm used to making. And I just feel like that we're not at that point yet. Like I said, it's possible I'm going to have to do another video sometime between now and Thursday for the channel members, telling them, hey, I got another truck, and showing a walk around the video, and then releasing it on Thursday or Friday to everybody else. There's a good chance of that happening. And I already know it doesn't matter what truck I buy, won't matter. People are going to say, oh, you're stupid for buying that. I'd have never bought that. It's too new. It's too old. It's too this. It's too that. A lot of you have been chanting I should get an international. And I know how you guys would eat me alive if I got one of those. So this is going to be one of those rare times where I'm just going to go with my gut and do what I think's best based on the information I have before me. And some of you are going to like it and some of you ain't. Greystone, I like that name. Greystone says, hello, Todd. Hello, sir. Thank you for being here. Alaska says the only way to make money in this market is having your own MC, not paying any percentage to other people, and having paid off equipment. Leasing is a bad choice. Yeah, I generally agree. The less overhead you can have right now, the better off you can be. I can think of 2 CEOs that I know of right now that are selling off assets at their company to try to become more asset light. So I generally agree with you. I think there's some other things you can do that'll also help you in this market. But obviously, if you're spending $2,000 to $3,000 a month on a truck payment, you'd be better off if you weren't spending that $2,000 to $3,000 a month on a truck payment. But I mean, we all have to adapt. The thing I've got going for me, and some of you are going to tell me it doesn't matter, but it has in my case, is I'm a great negotiator. And I don't think anybody that's worked with me or seen me in action doubts that. You go back, you talk to, I didn't really get to negotiate at Swift, but you go back and you talk to the people at DART that worked with me when I was on the OPI board. And to this day, I'm still known there for getting good loads, negotiating my own rates. I think if you talk to Scott will tell you I'm a good negotiator. And so that adds a little bit. That puts me 10 or 15 cents a mile ahead of everybody else on most loads. Obviously, there's some I can't negotiate. And but I don't disagree with you, Alaska. Paid off equipment is good. Right now, which branch you go, whether flatbed, reefer, tanker, dry van, it varies from week to week, which ones are strong, which ones are weak. But yeah, I agree with you. There's no doubt. I wish I had my 08 Volvo, so still. People criticize that truck on my videos. Oh, it's ugly, it's old, it's a piece of junk. But I spent several $1,000s on that truck. It's pretty roadworthy when I put it on the highway. Real close to $10,000. And so, I love having a beautiful shiny truck with all the chrome and chicken lights, but I love having something reliable that'll make me money a lot more. And speaking of people with pretty trucks, Shannon Thomas is here. She's got a nice truck, or she did in the last video I saw. Says, good evening, everyone. I'm rocking out in pursuit of Maine lobster. Todd, you're in my prayers, brother. Well, thank you, Shannon. You're in my prayers now. I wish you'd bring some of that lobster to Texas. Steve says, did they ever get that bunk heat fixed? Yeah, everything's fixed. Bunk heater's fixed, PCM's fixed, and the oil leak's fixed. $4,970. I have to disagree on your comment about taking a pay cut. How many weeks has it been since you received a paycheck? Just saying. Well, that's another thing. I've still received money during the time I've been off, but I get what your point is. But still, let's say that there's 4 weeks a year I'm down, and the rest of the year I take the same amount of time off you do. I still make more money when I'm making double or triple. The average, I looked it up the other day. The average company driver makes around 50, I think it's 58,000 a year, if I remember the numbers. But let's say that's wrong. Let's increase that by 50%. Let's say they make 85,000 a year. Or let's go to Walmart. Let's say Walmart makes 92,000 the first year. And that's the one everybody points to is so great paying. I make 115, 120 a year. And that's even with the breakdowns and everything. So there's still, you're talking 25, 30,000 a year more money. And so, to each their own. I've said many times, and you guys have heard me say it, I believe that most people should be company drivers. Percentage-wise, I think we got way too many owner-operators out here. Quite frankly, a lot of them don't have the business sense. There's a lot of great truck drivers that are terrible owner-operators. And there's a lot of terrible owner-operators that are great truck drivers. Maybe that means the same thing. Anyway, I'm tired. My brain's scrambled. But, is there a company driver somewhere in the country that makes more money than me pulling a dry van? Probably. But on average, across the country, probably not. And then when you figure where I live in Lubbock, where the rates are depressed anyway, then definitely not. There's a lot of truck driving jobs here. Shoot, I saw one the other day for a lumber company here that's $715 a week. And so, I can make almost 4 times that much. Well, I can make a lot of weeks 4 times that much out here. So if I have 3 or 4 weeks a year where I don't make it, I still come out ahead. And even if I break even, even if I make the same as a company driver, I don't have to be worried about being slip seated. I get to make the maintenance decision, what kind of tires I run, what kind of oil I use, where I stop for service. That might be something that needs changing. I may be looking for some new shops to deal with here in West Texas, but I like being in control of the decision-making process. Also, when you factor in YouTube and all the other things I do on the side for income, I need the tax deductions, things like that. So there's a method to my madness, and unless you're doing what I'm doing, it can be difficult to understand. Travis Jones says, "Hey Todd, hoping you get back in a truck ASAP. You're a trucker for life, in my opinion." You take that back. God bless. Well, thank you, sir. I think you're going to see. Let's be honest. It's going to take me a day or two to buy another truck, and then it'll take me a couple of days to get things transferred over with Scott, because he drives a truck too. So he'll have to get a load back to town. He'll have to go get new plates, new IFTA stickers. He'll have to order decals. He'll have to overnight that stuff to me. Then I'll have to book a load from this area out to Gulfport to get the vinyl. I can make me some temporary tags in the meantime. And so there's going to be a little bit of time delay there, but I appreciate the sentiment there, Travis. And I can tell you it's coming really, really, really soon. There's finally a light at the end of the tunnel. Addie says, "Hey, Trucker Todd, I'm late to the show. What happened?" So today I lost the Kenworth. And then about right before I was supposed to come on the air, I got a call from the shop. The Corvette is done. So They reluctantly took the Kenworth today. Tomorrow, after I sell the Corvette, we will have a conversation. I don't know if we'll get anywhere with it. I've got 2 trucks that are in my purview right now that I can still remain with SRO Logistics. By the way, his email's in the ticker if you want to see about opportunities for working for him. I forgot to mention that earlier. Also, my website and email address is there as well. So the focus is now going to shift into selling that car and to finding another truck or getting the one I just had to let go back. And I hope to have some information by the end of the week. But as you know, it takes a few days to get all these things going. It's not instant. And so we'll see. But I would guess it's probably going to be Monday or Tuesday. And hopefully it'll be sooner. I'm ready to go back to work. I told Scott I want to drive so bad I'd be willing to do a load for free right now. Russell says he picked up a load in South Dakota, now in Missouri, getting unloaded. You've been running, my friend. Shannon Thomas says, Russell Freight Services, huge congratulations on the new crib. Yeah, congratulations, Russell. I might should have read this comment before I put it up. Red Raider Reloading says, we are like a jock strap. Maybe. We are here to support you, Todd. You might crack, but we don't shatter. Well, I might better leave that comment alone. Thank you, Red Raider. I get the sentiment. It's nice to know I've got a lot of people here supporting my package. Addie says, hey, worst comes to worst, we're ready for DJ Todd. Yeah, but the problem is none of y'all would hear the local radio station. How many of y'all come to love it? But I got a piano behind me. I might get back there and sing y'all some songs here in a minute. Hey, Manny made it in. Thank you for being here, sir. And Cassius King is here. Hey, your friend DIY was here a minute ago. I don't know if he's still here or not. So I don't know how much you caught of what's going on, Cash. I did lose the Kenworth today. They reluctantly took it from me, but they may give it back to me tomorrow. The big problem was I didn't know when the Corvette was going to get done. If I could have told them, all right, on this day it's done, then they might have had a little more flexibility. But every day I was like, well, they're saying today or tomorrow. And they got tired of waiting. And quite frankly, I don't blame them. Of all my bill collectors, and we've all got bill collectors, so don't y'all start that on me. They were the least supportive, the least understanding, things like that. And so, I'm going to, once I know exactly how much money I got in the bank tomorrow, then I'll call them and pitch it to them. But I do have 2 more trucks I'm looking at. One of them is another Kenworth out in California that I can fly out and pick up and get to work with. It's only got 280-something thousand miles on it. And it's like an 18. They used it for like a dedicated run thing they had, but it was kind of a short one. And then I've got a guy with the older mid 2000s W900 around here, but it has that Cummins ISX engine. I'm not a big fan of the ISX, and it has a 13-speed, which I love. And so I'll take a little bit of a fuel economy hit in a W900, but I know how to run those trucks. I'll slow down. I'll run between 60 and 65 like I did a lot of times at Swift, and I'll get my fuel economy up and make it work if I have to go that route. So now we move into the next phase. This is the phase we've been waiting on, where I've got the Corvette situation handled, and now it's just figuring out how much money I can sell it for within the next day or two, and then which avenue I want to take as far as trucks go. Daryl says anyone that wants to see someone fail is a waste of good oxygen. Well, you got to remember that they don't, most of them casually follow me. They don't know who I am. And it's entertaining. It's not fun for these guys when I come on here and I go, everything's great. I love where I work. I'm making money in this market. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear my truck sucks. The guy I work for is a jerk and ripping me off, and I'm going under. They want the drama. And so I get the sentiment you're saying there about it feels like they're a waste of oxygen. And, you know, I don't wish anybody to fail. Some of you call me with some stupid ideas, and I never discourage you. I'll tell you my opinion. Hey, I probably wouldn't do it, but I'm never going to tell you don't do it. That's a dumb idea. I'll say, hey, if you do it, I'll still give you advice. I'll still try to help you, but that's not what I do, and here's why. One of them is Landstar. I'm not sold on Landstar, and I know a lot of you are. So if you tell me, Todd, I'm going to Landstar, I'm going to say, hey, let me know how it goes. I'm rooting for you, but I'm not wishing you to fail. And I get what you're saying, Dale. It is frustrating, or Daryl. It is frustrating when there's so many people hoping that today's the day I flop. And it's also fun when I don't flop and watch how upset they get and the temper tantrums they throw. You wait and see the videos that'll come out of this. Russell says, Shannon Thomas, thanks. Rose says, hey, Todd. Hey, Rose. SRJ says, based on what you stated, I can believe the terms of getting a new truck would be a nightmare. Well, right now, let me tell you what I've found going through a lot of these dealerships. The down payments have got enormous, and I mean like 40%. One place told me as high as 60%. And so buying a truck from a dealership, I agree with you. It's a terrible time right now. But individuals, I mean, one of the trucks I'm looking at that's close to here is a guy that he's got several trucks and he's just trying to thin the herd. The guy in California is a trucking company, and he's trying to become more asset light, get rid of some of his assets because kind of tighten his belt for this market and this budget. That's where the good deals are on trucks right now. One thing Cassius King does, and he's probably the best in the business at it, is finding good truck deals. You know, if he ever is looking for a side job, I think he would be an excellent resource for helping people find used trucks because he finds great trucks all the time, really cheap. And I don't know how familiar with the West Texas market he is, but he usually looks like in the Midwest a lot. But yeah, he's among the best at finding good deals on used trucks. That one guy says, how about a song on the piano? Sure. What would y'all like to hear tonight? And I don't have any Coke Zero. Tonight's video is brought to you by water. Hey, Paula, in a little bit, it doesn't have to be right now, but in a little bit when you're not busy, would you get me some more ice and water, please? I'm doing my machine right now. Oh, well, yeah, when it finishes. Thank you. Tim Back says, hey, Todd, when you get the vet, see how many parts were replaced, LOL. I'm thinking you may get some on the shop, LOL. I'll tell you, now I feel comfortable saying what my theory was on the Corvette. So one of the things they had to do after they get the cluster back in was reattach the steering wheel and the steering column. And I believe that there's a lot of little cheap, flimsy GM plastic parts in the steering wheel for the horn and gadgets like that. One thing he was saying was the turn signals weren't working, and the steering wheel has tilt and telescope. You can pull it in and out and move it up and down. And he said that wasn't working properly. So I believe what happened was he said he had 3 younger mechanics and he was showing them how to do it, that he had done it a million times, but they had never done one. And I believe one of his younger mechanics broke some of those little plastic parts in there. And that's why my turn signal wasn't working. That's why the tilt and telescope wasn't working. And I believe he was embarrassed and he ordered the parts and didn't want me to know because he thought I was going to freak out. Because, I mean, there's just some of those parts you can't get no more. I mean, I've got a guy that I know, he's a YouTuber that he has like a Corvette wrecking yard, and I can get some parts from him. But they're used parts. They're brittle. They've been in the car for 40 plus years, some of them 50 plus years. And so you don't know what you're getting, and you're always scared to do that. And like that light switch they replaced, there was only 2 places in the country he said that he could get the part. And so I believe they broke something and they were just trying to cover their tracks. But it passed state inspection. So now I can get new plates on it and stuff if I decide to go that route. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But yeah, I think they broke something in the steering column, and that's what took so long to get it out. And they're just embarrassed to tell me. Steve says, scratching and surviving, hanging in and jiving. Yes, sir. That's what we're doing. Alaska says mid-2000s W9 is the way to go. Todd, I have that ISX and love it. Everyone I know that has those Cummins love them. Yeah, but then I got online and started reading, and everybody was talking about them becoming vapor locked and blowing head gaskets and having problems with the turbos and things like that. What I'm hoping, though, is that maybe all that's been worked out. And, you know, it's like everything else. The devil's going to be in the details. What I'd like to do tomorrow is me and my wife and maybe my son, if he can go, drive over to look at the truck, look at his maintenance records, see what all he's got there. I believe he had an oil sample there too. I want to take a look at that and just try to make the best educated decision I can. I'm going to take a hit in fuel economy. I figure 6.5 will be about all I can ever get out of it. But I think most people in here would agree that a mid-2000s W9 is built a lot better than many of the plastic trucks that are on the road today. And that one guy makes a good point. Fuel economy is crucial. Yes, sir. However, the price of the truck is about half what I paid for my Kenworth, and the monthly payments are about 800 to 1,000 less than what I pay. It's a little hard to calculate because there's 4.3 weeks in a month, but so there is some savings there. Also, my insurance would go down because the value of the truck is less. Also, repairs should be a lot cheaper on that older truck as well. So there's some offsetting there. What you hope is that in the wash, they come out pretty comparable. Red Raider reloading. Whatever truck you decide on, please take it by and let a priest throw some holy water on it. Oh, yeah, Red Raider, that's funny. I'll tell you what I need to do. I need to call every one of my trucker buddies that live in the Lubbock area and start comparing notes with them about which shops are good, which shops are not good. Because I'm going to be honest with you, the last time I went to Love's, that guy kind of let me down. And I've known him for several years. And the Peterbilt dealer, for the first time in 27 years of driving, they really let me down. And so, you know, shops get good and shops get bad all the time. And I think it's time for me to build some new relationships in the maintenance area. And on an older W9 like that, a lot more people are going to be able to work on it than these new PACCAR engines that a lot of them don't know anything about. And with that Cummins, I can go to an actual Cummins shop and get it worked on, which is probably what I'd do. I've heard that's the best way to do it, is just go to an actual Cummins shop. Tim says he can still get 6 miles a gallon with that Cummins. Fuel ain't hurting as much as people say it is. Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. That's a great point, Tim. On my last IFTA, my KW only got 6.9. Now, keep in mind the APU was out. I pulled a ton of heavy loads. I mean, a ton of heavy loads. And there was a lot of idling because I was up in the north where it was cold and stuff like that. So normally my fuel economy is about 8.5, 8.75. But the last two IFTAs, it's been down lower. I don't remember the numbers before. I think they were like 7.4. So we're talking mile and a half difference. And that's if I get 6. If I can beat 6, if I can, it's a better insulated truck, so maybe I don't have to idle as much. And I've got fans and stuff in there now to kind of cool things off. So we'll see. But saving that 800 to 1,000 a month on truck payments, I think could make a difference. Alaska says, "Man, Alaska, I wish I'd have known that. I'd have liked to have had a private conversation with you because right now you got a lot of information I really need. If you've got my email, email me and I'll give you my phone number if you don't have it. We may need to start talking. You might be my new expert because you could give me. I don't want to give out the exact year model on here because people will look up the ad and try to take it down for me and things like that. But you've got a lot of valuable information right now that could really help me. Alaska, sorry, I went off on a tangent there, but I did not know that about Alaska. I sit here and I'm looking at his pretty truck, and I did not know that. He says he has an 08 W9 and he gets around 6s loaded and low 7s light. There you go. So that's about what I was calculating. Maybe 6.5, 6.75 most of the time. And with that 13 speed, I can really control my fuel economy a lot better than what I might be able to do, even with an automatic. I don't know. We'll see. I'm willing to give it a shot. I've loved every Cummins I've driven. Yeah, just the stuff I read online really scared me. People talking about head gaskets and vapor locking and problems with the turbos. Everybody said the fuel pump is junk. Hopefully, on a truck of that age, you hope the fuel pump's been updated and that's no longer a problem. Evidently, they made a new fuel pump for it that's supposed to be a lot better. Alaska says, I put an old turbo with no VGT Westgate and it increased my fuel economy almost a mile a gallon. Yeah, I did see that a lot of people were suggesting that modification, that it made it a lot better. Channel member Corey Oatley says a W9 kind of goes against your high MPG strategy. Well, my high MPG strategy kind of went away when I left Swift because you kind of have to adjust your strategy for whatever company you're working at. So when I was at Swift on a mileage-based contract, really the only thing you can control at that point is where you run, try to run flatter parts of the country, and fuel economy. So you want to go slow. You want to maximize your fuel economy. When you're on spot market, fuel economy is important, but to me, rate is more important, and specifically rate per day. So I'm focusing on getting the very best possible rate that I can. And then if the load has time on it and I can run slow and save fuel, then fine, I'll do it. If the load's a little hot and I need to go, then fine, I'll do it. But I've got that rate figured in such a way that I can afford to do that. But yeah, it's easier on the truck and it's easier on your wallet if you can get a good paying rate and drive it slow. And obviously a lighter truck would be better. But yeah, that kind of went out a little bit when I left Swift and was negotiating my own rates again. Same thing at Dart when I was on the OPI board. I tried to maximize fuel economy as much as I could, but my main focus was getting the maximum possible rate and then adjusting my speed and everything else based on how much time the load had and things like that. Alaska says, I'd rather have a worse fuel economy than have all that emissions crap in my truck. Well, that's another thing. Alaska's making another great point. So let's say that everything's identical. And let's forget that W-9 I'm looking at. Let's look at Alaska's truck. Let's say Alaska sold me his W-9. And let's say Alaska bought my Kenworth I just traded in. Let's say we ran the same loads, we took the same time off, everything was identical. When that emissions goes out on that Kenworth, on that T680, I'm going to be down a lot longer than if he has some kind of problems on his, I believe he said it was an 08. Now, he does have, I believe he has a DPF filter on that year model and maybe some light emissions, but nothing near as complex as what's on the truck now. You also got to figure maintenance. If he's got that Kenworth T680, he's got a lot more DEF system maintenance things that have got to be done. Now, granted, a lot of them are at, 500,000, things like that, but there's a lot more maintenance stuff. So when we get down to comparing beans, that W-9 in some ways could be a lot cheaper on maintenance. And then if you're saving 800 or 1,000 a month on truck payments, you could theoretically make more in a W-900. But I can't argue with anybody that says, well, you'll make the most if the truck's paid off. That's without a doubt true. A paid off truck will always make you money, provided the maintenance doesn't get you. Let's see. Tim Back says, I guarantee an older model W-9 will have less mechanical issues than a newer truck, not to mention a can-do about on work on an older truck and almost nothing on new trucks. Yeah, that's another point. Basic maintenance. And I say, a lot of the stuff I could get out there and do myself. If I can't do it, there's a YouTube video I can watch. A lot of times the biggest obstacle is having the tools. And on these newer ones, there's very little you can do to them. And so that helps too. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, I'm getting older. I'm getting fatter. Well, I'm not getting fatter. I've lost a lot of weight since I've been home. Just stress. I had 2 days in a row where I ate nothing but 2 crackers each day. And so it's been, and it's while I was sick. It wasn't because I was dieting. I was pretty sick. But so there's definitely, I'm going to do as much of it as I can. I hope my son's situation levels out a little where he can work on it some. But then I'm going to be getting with some guys like Red Raider Reloading. I've got another friend named Ramon and some other truck driver friends here in Lubbock. I'm going to get with them and talk to them about shops that they've had good experiences with here in the past and try to build some new relationships in the maintenance area. And if you guys have ever broke down in Lubbock and had a good experience with a shop, let me know where it's at, and I'll go over and shake hands and kiss babies and try to get to know everybody over there. Alaska says weekly payments are definitely harder than monthly. Yeah, I didn't like them. I didn't like them when I sold cars either. I always felt like it was unfair to the customer because inevitably, especially like on a car loan where it's 4 or 5 years, they're going to have a bad week. They're going to get sick, and then they're behind on their payments, and then they're struggling to catch up. Whereas if you're on a monthly situation, you've got kind of a couple of weeks to recover after that. Let's see. Man, Alaska, you've really motivated me tonight. Thank you for telling me that. Davenport says, who in their right mind drives for $900 a week? I make $2,000 plus a week as a company driver. Well, what I would say is that A, it depends where you live and what's available in your area. And B, everybody has different goals. For example, I know a husband and wife team that they have to be home every weekend because they get custody of their kids on the weekend. So they fortunately make pretty good money, but they their main focus is not how much they can make out here, but it's about being home. So there's a lot of things there. There's a lot of reasons. I'll give you Midlife, for example. Midlife makes really good money, but I don't think that's the number one reason he's with Cheeseman. He's with Cheeseman because they treat him really, really, really good. But I'm just telling you, and I invite you guys to look at jobs around Lubbock, Texas, or trucking companies that hire around Lubbock, Texas, and minus the oil field, there's just not a lot of great opportunities unless you want to go team or over the road and you agree to stay out a certain length of time. Usually it's 3 to 6 weeks. And I just don't feel like as an owner operator that they are to be controlling my home time that way. And even as a company driver, I like to have input into my home time. Channel member Corey Oatley says, good point, Alaska. The right payment and no emissions emissions cred would be great. Yes, sir, I agree. All righty, here's a guy we hadn't seen in a long time. Contractor's Corner. Sorry to hear about the truck, Todd. Honestly and genuinely, just learn all you can from the ordeal and make it an education. I got to go spend some family time since we just finished our show. Thanks, Charlie. I appreciate that. Yes, sir. That's what I was talking about earlier in the show. This has definitely been a learning experience, and everything is. If you don't go through life and try to learn something out of everything, then it's just kind of a waste. And so the big thing I've learned so far, and the big takeaway is, I should have done a little more follow-up to see if Peterbilt was as great as they were a year and a half ago when I used them. Obviously, there's been some changes there. And secondly, I don't like being in a weekly lease payment. I would much prefer a monthly lease payment. But yeah, I appreciate your comments and thank you for the kind words, sir. Gary Cook says, do you still have Scott's trailer? Yeah, I do. And, I'm sure at some point he's going to want that back. But right now, we haven't even really discussed it. He trusts me to take care of it. And he knows I'm going to do the right thing. So, but right now, yes, I still have his trailer. And I hope I get to keep it. Abandon says, evening. Good evening, sir. Thank you for being here. The W9 KW probably wouldn't get good fuel economy. The other guy, Alaska Hall, says he has one that's almost the exact same year model as the one I'm looking at. He says he gets between the 6s and low 7s most of the time, depending on the load he's hauling. And we've talked about some of the pros and cons. The truck payment would be significantly cheaper, about 30% cheaper. And the maintenance would also be significantly cheaper. So that should offset a lot of it. Truck had just over, about 680,000 miles on it, I think is what it's got on it. But we're still a long way from a deal. I've got to go look at the maintenance records and inspect the truck a lot more thoroughly than what I've been able to do so far. And there's still a slight possibility that the T680 I lost today could still be in the bullpen, but we finally got the Corvette done, and that's the big news of the night that I quite honestly wasn't planning on being able to tell you. I thought that the big news of the night was going to be that I lost the Kenworth and was probably going to be down for several more days. But it's looking like there's a light at the end of this tunnel, finally. Rose says, sorry to hear the news about your truck. Thinking of you during these difficult times. I'm sure it will all work out for you. I understand your hesitation to go to work as a company driver. Very hard once you've had your own truck. Fingers crossed for you. I know you will land right where you should be. Well, thank you, Rose. I appreciate that. I'm going to pull that off so y'all can see the website. I want to be clear. I'm not criticizing anybody that's suggesting company driver jobs. And like I said, a week from now, if I'm struggling like this, then yeah, maybe that's something I'll look at. Red Raider Reloading, without saying the companies, knows 2 options for me right here in Lubbock where I could be home either every day or every other day. But it'd be for about half of what I usually make. So that's not a decision I take lightly. There would definitely be some drastic changes in my life. And so we'll see. But right now, I'm too optimistic to think about the negatives. I'm going to focus on trying to keep my business going. I spent some money getting the LLC. I've got a lot of money invested in all this, in this circus that comes to town. And so I'm going to try to keep the circus going as long as I can. SRJ, sorry to seem negative, but I can't understand why one would consider another truck with your setbacks over the last several months. Also, you freely tell us the financial hardship you're currently in. Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second. Why do I do that? Because the whole secret of this channel, and this is for all you guys wanting to start a YouTube channel, the secret to having a successful YouTube channel is A, talk about stuff that people want to hear about, and B, tell the truth. Be honest. Right now, we're in a crappy market. Anybody that tells you it's easy right now, it's not difficult, is probably not being genuine with you. So I'm going to come on here and tell you the truth. So why don't I quit? When the going gets tough, why don't I just give up? Well, because that's not how I'm made. I'm not a guy that gives up. I'm not a guy that quits. I'm not a guy that accepts defeat. I'm a guy that improvises and finds a way. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to tell you guys the truth. If I get another truck and I flop, I'm going to tell you. Just because, it's like I pointed out and several other people have pointed out in the comments, Thomas Edison failed 999 times before he invented the light bulb. We wouldn't have light today if he'd have just tried it once or twice and gave up and said, this doesn't work. I'm never going to be able to invent a light bulb. All these solar powered cars, or not solar powered, electric powered cars, and everything that's so getting everybody excited right now. How many times do you think they failed before they got to where we're at now? And it's by far not perfect. Cancer treatment, better than it's ever been. There's still not a cure for cancer. Should we give up trying? Should we give up looking? The Middle East is at war right now. We've been trying for over 2,000 years to stop wars in the Middle East. Should we stop trying for peace and just say, crap, let's just fight all the time? Same thing. I mean, I could give you 100 examples of why there's things that people have failed at a lot more than me. Should we just give up? I mean, I can name you several football teams. There was one that didn't win a game all season, if I remember correctly. There was one that went like 0-16. Should they have closed down the franchise and said, well, we're not going to play football no more? I mean, just because, and maybe that's the secret. And I'm not picking on SRJ here. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Been on the phone all day too. I'm not picking on SRJ here, but maybe that's why some people make it and some people don't. Maybe some people are just so stubborn and hard-headed that they're like, I'm going to make it no matter what happens. And maybe some people, the first time they hit adversity, they're like, screw it. I'm going to go do something else. I'm just not that way. I've shared this. Some of you that's been on the phone with me, there's a good possibility, and Scott knows it. We talked about it today. There's a good possibility my time at SRO Logistics is over. It's a little less likely now, but earlier today, I thought there's a real good possibility. At one point, I told Scott, I said, I got 2 options left. If those options fail, Scott, I don't have anything else. And I said, quite honestly, they're both long shots. And he understood that. But now the options are looking a little better. But what would have happened if I'd have just called him and said, I give up, Scott. I can't do it. I'm mailing everything back. Here's the LD. Here's the permit book. I'm done. And then, a few hours later, the Corvette's done and I'm back in the game. I'm not that kind of person. I I'm an improviser. I'm a find a way kind of guy. And so it's not a criticism of any of y'all. It's just I'm wired differently than some of you, and I don't give up. It's part of the reason why my wife's not having a panic attack right now, because I can say, hey, I'm not sure how we're going to pay this. She'll say, you'll figure it out, you'll figure a way, because I always do. I'll go do a side job, or something will happen and the money will come in, and it's because I don't give up. And some wives, that would drive them crazy, because they'd be like, he doesn't have a plan, he just says he's going to take care of it. And my son's a lot like that. My oldest son, he's an improviser, he's a find a way kind of guy. He's not a sit on the corner and feel sorry for yourself. But anyway, another thing going on, my aunt is doing a lot better, still in the hospital. They haven't done any more amputations yet. My grandson, they're about to go back to Dallas in a week for another round of tests, and they'll be there a week or two probably. And my dad found out last night he's got COVID. I talked to him today, through text, because he can't hear real good. And he said he's fine, just a little stuffy nose. So it looks like he doesn't have a bad case of it, but somehow he caught COVID. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers as well. He's a good guy. He lives about 7 hours from me, but I really wish I could sneak over and see him sometime. Tim Back says, I find it funny how grown men tell another grown man what they think he should do with his life. Why is it so important for people to tell another man what he should do? Let the man make his choices. Well, I'm going to assume, and I don't know, I'm going to assume that everybody has my best interest in mind. And I get what they're saying. They're going, if I look at it from their perspective, which is what I always try to do, is they're thinking, man, Todd has had a lot of setbacks, a lot of adversity to overcome. He just needs a break. If he went company for 6 months or a year, he'd get rid of all that stress. But guys like me, it would be more stress. It would be being a company driver feels very confining to me, because I like to be the decision maker. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a company driver, and in the right situation, I would do it. But if I can avoid it, I'm going to avoid it. And I don't think we're there yet. Alaska Hall has really motivated me and made me think that I need to take a serious look at that truck. I hope he emails me, because when I get there, if I run across something I'm not sure about or a question, I'd love to shoot him an email or give him a phone call and run some things by him. I'm going to look through my email. I may already have his email. But he, I didn't know what to expect from him, what he'd say, what he might say, because Alaska's another straight shooter. He doesn't always agree with me, and sometimes he'll tell me when he thinks I'm wrong. But he was pretty encouraging, in my opinion. So that makes me think that he's happy with his truck, and maybe it's worth taking a look at. But I welcome, when you put your life out here in front of the public like this, and like the other guy said, I reveal about my personal life as much as I do, then you have to be willing to accept suggestions and even criticisms. And as long as they keep it respectful and they're not calling me names or something, I don't mind somebody disagreeing with me. And who knows, maybe they're right. Maybe in 3 months, I'm coming over here and I'm going, man, I should have listened. I need a company driver job. But all I can tell you is I've got the best job in or out of trucking I've ever had in my life right now. Not the highest paying, but the best. I'm inside the happiest I've ever been with where I'm working. Not with my situation, not with the truck, things like that, but just with my situation where I'm at in life, working for this guy. So if there's any way I can keep that going, I will. And it may be a money pit, we'll see, but I won't know if I won't try. And like I've been saying to some of you guys in the comments, the one thing I don't want to do is just give up and then 3 weeks from now find out if I'd have just tried this, I might have made it. I want to exhaust all my options. And then if I have to walk away from trucking completely, then I'm okay doing it because I know I did everything I can remember. I remember all the way back in junior high football, we had a coach, and he was kind of a goofball, but I don't even know if he's still alive. I hadn't seen him in a few years. The last time I seen him, he came and interviewed to be a car salesman at one of my lots, and I didn't hire him. But he said, when you leave this game, you don't want to have any regrets. He said, this is the last game of the year. In the off season, you don't want to think, man, if I'd have just tried a little harder, I could have made that tackle. Or if I'd have just stretched out, I could have made that touchdown. He's like, last game of the year, give it all you got, so that at the end, win or lose, you don't have any regrets. And that's kind of how, here that was, shoot, I was in 8th grade, so I don't even know how many years ago. And it stuck with me all these years. I don't want to get to the end of the game and go, man, if I'd have just called the finance company one more time, if I'd have just drove an hour and a half and looked at that Kenworth, maybe I'd still be in. If I'd have just called Scott and told him my situation, maybe I'd still be in. So that's what I'm doing. I'm exhausting every option that's available to me. And I told Scott today on the phone, this is another thing, and I wasn't going to bring this up because we're fixing to open a can of worms. But the Dallas Cowboys, this past game, I thought they played a great game. If they're going to lose a game, that's the way I want them to lose it. That was a great game. But there was several times that they'd have won the game if they could have got 2 or 3 more inches. When Dak went for that 2 points, if he could have just kept that foot, a couple more inches in bound, it was just his toes that were out of bounds, he'd have got a 2-point conversion. If when he threw that pass to that tight end, if they'd have just been a couple inches further in, it would have been a touchdown. And then we see the replay and we find out there should have been a pass interference call. The guy was hanging on him before the ball ever got there, and the refs didn't call the call. But anyway, there was a few places in that game where if they'd have just got a couple more inches, it would have changed the game. And it's the same thing here. I feel like there's just a few spots so far where if I'd have just got another inch, another 2 inches, I would still be in the game. And that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to stretch out, get that couple more inches. Steve says, I just jumped in. What happened to the truck? As of now, I lost it. They reluctantly took it away from me today. However, the Corvette did sell. So I'm going to mention that to him tomorrow once I know my financial situation. But quite honestly, I've kind of, in my mind, waved goodbye to that truck. And I'm currently looking at 2 others, as well as I'm looking at a few companies in case I can't get one of those trucks. But the goal is to stay with SRO Logistics if there's any way possible. SRJ says, how could the terms of leasing or buying another truck in this situation be lucrative? Well, it's funny. It's a tough question for me to answer, but let me say this. When I went to Roadrunner, people told me, there's no way you're going to make money at Roadrunner. They're going out of business. They're a horrible company. I did great there. I was one of their top solo drivers. Then they said, Todd, you're an idiot to leave Roadrunner. You've got it made there. You're doing great. Why would you go to Dart? And I said, well, I believe it's a vertical move. I went to Dart, got on the OPI board, which they told me, you're never going to get on the OPI board. Got on the OPI board. I was one of their top performers on the OPI board. Then I went to Swift. They said, why in the world would you leave Dart? You're never going to do better than you're doing at Dart. Swift is a mega carrier. They suck. They're terrible. Went to Swift, made the most money I've ever made with any trucking company, even now. Now, F2F's a throwaway because I had that accident. I wasn't there long enough for us to say pro or cons about them. So I come to SRO Logistics. Todd, that's risky. It's a small company. What if he can't pay you? What if his trailers are junk? What if you get there and he's crazy? What if you get there and he's a jerk? and it turns out to be the best place I've ever worked in my life, in or out of trucking. So same thing. All of those companies, with the exception of F2F and SRO, were lease purchase. Everybody told me lease purchase is a ripoff. You can't make money in them. Every one of them I did great. Still doing great. Well, the last 3 or 4 weeks have been kind of rough, but I mean, I'm still in. So I guess it depends on what your definition of lucrative is. I guess it depends on if you have realistic expectations or things like that. I've told you before, I believe that I could make money at any company. I believe any lease purchase company in the country I could make money in. Now, maybe not as much as I should make, maybe not as much as I could make, but I believe that I could make money in any of them. Some of them are better than others. I'm not going to argue that either. Some of them are definitely better than other ones. But I just, some of it's having 27 years experience. And maybe there's an argument to be made, well, if you're such a good driver, you should be retired by now. And what I would say to that is I always didn't have it straight in my head. I didn't always take it seriously. The last 3 or 4 years, everything I've touched has kind of turned to gold. And so, but yeah, I guess it depends on what you consider as lucrative. I feel like I can make a decent living and that I've still got something to contribute, though. Congratulations to Russell. He says he did 639 miles today. That's a pretty good day, my friend, especially where you're working. That's not bad. Life on 18 Wheels says, so sad to hear, Todd, but we know you're a stand-up guy. It'll work in your favor. Well, thank you. I hope so. Okay, we're going to, don't block Steve. I think he probably just hadn't been to the show. So what's wrong with Landstar other than you need your own truck? I have my own truck. I've had the last 2 trucks I've had, I bought. No lease purchase, I bought the last 2 trucks. One of them I paid cash for. One of them I financed through a dealership. So that's not my holdup with Landstar. My holdup with Landstar is 65%. I think that's highway robbery. I don't care if they have good rates. It's still ridiculous to give up 35% of your pay. Some of you will say, well, when you were at Dart, you were doing a 70-30 split. Yes, and I also did videos and said I thought that was highway robbery. I think everybody should be in at least an 80-20 or better. At SRO, where I'm at currently, it's an 80-20 split, but he covers a lot in his 20%. So I feel like it's a very fair deal. After a year, he gives you a 2% increase. And I've never seriously talked to him about, hey, I'm not making enough money because I negotiate my own rates and everything. I did tease him one day when my truck's down. Thank you, Paula. He said, is there anything I can do to help? And I said, well, as a matter of fact, there is. I'm thinking 90-10. And he got a good laugh out of that. And he said, yeah, I'm thinking we'll stick at 80-20. But he knew I was joking. It wasn't confrontational. It wasn't me being serious. He's kind of learned my sense of humor, and we were joking. So I was like, you want to help? What about 90-10? What about 100-0? That'd help. But he covers a lot in his 20%. And I really feel like he's fair. There went the ghost again. She's getting ready to get on the piano, as you can see. But yeah, I think 65% is highway robbery. Now, maybe they've got some other programs I don't know about. If you're going to pull specialized, maybe you still do it because they've got some high paying specialized freight. Maybe if you get on a military contract. But I'd sing a different tune about Landstar if they shot that up to about 75%. Life on 18 Wheels. Have you ever thought about going back to Swift? Not currently. Let me tell you why. Nothing bad about Swift. It's tempting, trust me. when things are bad, I could go hop in a brand new truck right now. But I mean, it was just so frustrating when you had an issue because of the size of the company. But more importantly than that, it's changed a lot in the 6 months since I left. They've lost some big accounts. They're trying to get them back. Um, Most of the guys I know that are making it there right now are training. I'm not going to train because I've got a CPAP machine, and it's just hard to be me with a student on the truck. And I say do the videos and things like that, all the other things I do. So currently, there's no interest in Swift now. If the Scott deal falls through and Swift makes me an offer I can't refuse, then who knows? Maybe we take a look at it at that point. But right now, I don't have any interest in going back to Swift. And you know, you got to remember I had that accident back in April that I can't comment on, but that wipes out some really good lease deals like Creed has, and possibly even Swift. So we'll just right now that's not something that's on my radar. Randy's Road Life says hello and God bless you, my friend. Well, thank you, sir. Oh, that's funny. So Tim says Todd will be ending the show with his favorite song on the piano, On the Road Again. Yeah, and I sound just like Willie Nelson when I sing it too. No Fear says he has a Cummins. He gets 6 miles a gallon. Is it an ISX or is it the X15? Nicholas Earl says it doesn't have the X15, does it? No, it's the ISX. No Fear says I run 75. I get 6 miles a gallon with a 13 speed. What rears do you have? This truck I'm looking at has 355s. And another question, how many RPMs are you turning at 75? Oh, that's another good point. Nicholas throws up there. Thank you. I didn't even consider that. Not having to purchase DEF. So that's usually what, $60 to $75 a week for most people. So that's at $75 a week, that's 300 plus a month, probably 400 when you figure the 4.3 weeks a month. So there is going to be some savings there as well too. You guys are thinking about all kinds of stuff I hadn't even considered. That's a great point, Nicholas. Red Raider says, gotta unload. I'll catch you on the replay. All right. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for coming in tonight. Tim says, I'd give anything to have my 06 Freightliner hood truck with my cat engine. I could work on almost everything on that truck. That W9 would be a dream if it's taken care of for sure. Yeah, I agree with you, Tim. I was thinking, I almost made a joke, but Scott wouldn't think it was funny. I was thinking, then I got a built-in mechanic too. I could take it to see Scott every time it started limping along, but he wouldn't find any humor in that joke. Marcus says, are you still with Trucks for You? That's funny. No, I left them about, 8-10 years ago? Long time ago. Nicholas says, let's not get into Edison. That's right. Wow, this is a title here. This guy's got a pretty truck too. Trucking and cycling with my Montague Navigator. Good evening, sir. That's a pretty truck, and I like the flag in the grill. Russell says, man, screw the trolls. Don't let them get to you, brother. You know what? I want to talk about them for just one more second. And I told somebody this last night on the phone. I said, I'm going to tell you guys the truth. I was so close to giving up. So close. And these trolls, they keep me going. I kept thinking, I can't let them win. I can't let them win. and they don't realize what they're trying to do. They're actually doing the opposite. If they would just stop, I would think nobody cared and I would give up. But the more they chastise me and criticize me and, try to get me fired and do all the shenanigans they do, the more it motivates me to keep persevering and keep going. So I thank the Lord for my trolls, because they're, by trying to destroy me, they've actually created me, if that makes any sense. Tim says, I was a company for about 9.5 months. When I went back on the road, I even got to self-dispatch, but that company truck drove me nuts and stressed me out. Yeah, I don't know how much Tim will allow me to say on here, but he had a very, very good, very, very good company driver job, and he decided to dip his toes back into being an owner-operator again. And so, I mean, whether he succeeds or fails, I got a lot of respect for him, and really admire him, because that's a big gamble. He risked it all, and I think he's doing pretty good out here. Again, in this market, nobody's doing as well as they'd like to do, but I think most weeks his head's above water, and if he can just hang on when the market turns around, and nobody knows when that's going to be, he's going to be just tearing it up if he can just hang in there. But you got to give him kudos. He could have played it safe and stayed a company driver and been miserable. Like he said, his truck was driving him nuts and stressing him out. And he even talks about why here. He says his government truck with bells and whistles made him crazy. He said, I sure hope my truck doesn't fail me, because I'm happy right now doing my own thing with SRO. Yeah, if you guys think I'm full of baloney and just I'm a SRO cheerleader or whatever, that's fine. Talk to Tim. Tim works for the same outfit I do. See if his experience is different than mine. And I'm sure he'll be happy to shoot him a message here in the comments, tell him. And I'm sure he'll talk to you about it too. We've got a good deal, and that's why we're hanging on as long as we can. Nicholas says, get on the W9. I'm tempted, man. It's the devil's in the details. I'm going to want to see some maintenance records. I'm going to want to crawl over that truck for about an hour and look at everything I physically can. I'm going to want to drive it for a substantial amount of time. And then, if I can make everything work, and if Scott's okay with everything, then I'm going to pull the trigger. No Fear says they should have put the payment on the end. I agree. I get why they don't want to do that, because you don't want guys coming in going, hey, I had to get an oil change this week, I need to move a payment. But I mean, I can't be the only truck they've experienced that had an extended breakdown. Now, had it been a 2-day breakdown, it's suck it up, buttercup. But, when it's a month-long breakdown, I think you could move a month's worth of truck payments to the end. And then tell me, hey, if you start having some good weeks, maybe you can pay that down some or something like that. Oh, no doubt about this. I'm liking Nicholas's comments tonight as well. We got several of y'all that are on fire tonight, and we're already at the 2-hour mark, and it doesn't seem like it. Nicholas says Swift pays better than double brokered 65%. Yeah, that's another thing that people don't think about. And the agents at Landstar can starve you out if you don't get in with some good ones pretty early on. And from what I've heard, they really favor the small fleets more than they do the solo guy. But now, Tim, I want to bring up his comment. I mentioned I'm on an 80-20. Tim is on a 75-25. There's different options for how you get paid here. And on Tim's option, sorry, my deal jumped. Oh, boy. He says, I've got 75-25 by my choice. Also, don't pay trailer rent or trailer maintenance. He says SRO is a stand-up company. Yeah, I agree with you, man. So I'm going to get down here. We just had somebody do a donation. Hey, it was channel member Robbie Ross. Even though the Cowboys lost, next 3 games should go in our favor. Rise up, Cowboys Nation. What's funny is about that game is, even though Dak played a pretty darn good game, people still blame the loss on him. And it's like, did you even watch the game? He played pretty close to a perfect game. Sure, he accidentally stepped out of bounds. He threw that one pass that probably should have been a pass interference call and wasn't. But it was a good game. Like I said, if we're going to lose, that's how I want to lose. It's just like that. Oh, this is a great comment too. So No Fear says he has an ISX. That you're another one, No Fear, that you and Alaska Hall, especially probably tomorrow, if y'all would email me, I may need to talk to you guys because I'll just be quite honest. There's some things y'all are going to know about ISX that I don't know. There's some advice. Maybe there's some things I need to look for that I'm not aware of that y'all are aware of. So I would welcome y'all's advice and your knowledge if you're willing to share it. Some people say, oh, Trucker Todd, you think you're a know-it-all. No, not at all. I think I know a lot of people. And when I don't know something, I call them and I lean on them for advice and knowledge and wisdom. And this is one of those times when you guys that are currently in a mid-2000s ISX want to give me advice. I'd love to hear it. And like I said, I'm still looking at that T680 out in California too, and a few other deals too. Russell says, I got an X15 getting 7.5 and up with heavy loads. Yeah, there's no question that the newer the engine, probably the better fuel economy you're going to get. It's just you've got all that emission stuff. And the Cummins have been pretty reliable. I'm not knocking them or putting them down, but it's just the little things about the cheaper monthly payment, the not having to buy DEF, the less emission stuff to service, things like that. Okay. No Fear says he has 3 something on his rears and 1,500 RPM. So you've probably got the exact setup I'm looking at, or very, very close to it. So your numbers are going to be real accurate. So at 75, I'm probably going to be getting about the same fuel economy and RPMs as you. If I cut it back to maybe 68 or 70, I might could bump that up a little bit. I need to find out about the horsepower and torque curves and find out where the sweet spot is on that truck. But that gives me a lot of useful information. I thank you for that. No Fear. 22 Pete, it'll be paid off in 2.5 years from now. I would think you're going to be in good shape when that happens, Russell. Tim Back says, hell, I'd help you work on that truck, my friend. Well, we'd set that up. We'd schedule a weekend that we both just showed up at Scott's house and be like, hey, I need to get a little work done out here. And he'd see you and me out in the driveway working, and he'd think, I need to go out there and help. And he's definitely, him and DIY Semi are very knowledgeable on trucks. So they would be 2 people I would try to get involved if I could. But I would definitely take your help. I know you know a lot about trucks too. Brock says, you lost the truck? Yeah, today I did lose the Kenworth. They reluctantly took it. It's not totally lost yet because I did get the Corvette finished today. I haven't picked it up yet, but the work has been done. So theoretically, I could still save the deal tomorrow, but I'm looking at a couple other trucks and no final decision's been made yet. Guys like Alaska Hall, Tim Back, and even No Fear have about convinced me that I need to go look at this W9 and give it some serious consideration. Russell says, I was in the same shoes when my 18 kW was breaking down every day. After I got fixed one thing, another would break. Yeah, this one was really, really reliable, but the shop killed me on this one. Both shops, actually. I've said that about, I've been saying that for a while too, that all it takes is one major breakdown to put any owner operator out of business. You've all got savings, you've all got credit, but if the right circumstances happen, it can get any of us. Anthony Fisher says, good luck. I got to get up at 4 a.m. and run my butt off. All right, man. I appreciate you being here. Don't forget tomorrow, if you want to check the replay, you can certainly do that and see what all you missed. Also, while I'm talking about it, I might as well say, you guys make sure you're subscribed. Give me a thumbs up and share this video on your social media platform. Look in the ticker for a lot of other great information like my website, my email, how to apply with SRO Logistics if you'd like to come to work here and you got your own truck. Email me if you don't have a truck. I'll try to help you find one, and we'll go from there. But also, if you want to become a channel member, that information's down below the screen. Just hit the join button and it'll give you more details. No Fear says, do I need to come teach you how to drive a 13 speed again? No, I've driven a few 13 speeds in my life, but I ain't gonna lie to you. I went back and watched a YouTube video to refresh my memory because I've far and away drove more 10 speeds than anything else. Tim says, hey, Russell, I got an 18 kW myself, and these wearables will wear your pocketbook out. I feel you. Russell says, Tim back. Yeah, that's the reason I traded it for a 2022 Pete. From last year to last month, I dumped $87,000 in repairs. See, this is the kind of thing that shops don't tell you. So, and I realize it wasn't all in one repair, and this is where playing armchair quarterback is really frustrating. Had Russell known, hey, this truck's going to cost me $87,000 this year, the dealership probably had another piece or another KW sitting there that he could have bought for $87,000. But you don't know. You make decisions at the time based on the information you have available. And he did the best he could with the information he had. But he got to a point where he's like, dang, I've spent $87,000. I'm just going to go get a Pete instead. And the Pete's been a lot more reliable and done a lot better for him. So now in hindsight, he realizes he made the right decision. Now, if he'd have bought that Pete and it turned to crap 2 months later, then he might be where I'm at right now. And so you never know. You have to go with the information you have available at a time. And that's why it's quite frankly so fun to criticize me, because you have the advantage of hindsight. When you're saying, oh, Todd, you're an idiot, you should have never done that, you're so dumb, what were you thinking? Well, you've got the advantage of hindsight that I don't have. I'm making real-time decisions and living with the consequences. Some people, that would scare the crap out of you. Me, I enjoy it. I've told several of you, I enjoy negotiating rates more than I do driving a truck. I enjoy, getting fuel routes and doing that side of it more than I enjoy driving. I enjoy helping you guys more than I enjoy driving. And so driving's just another part of it. Now, when I'm stressed out, I love driving. I get in the truck, I turn the radio on, sing with the radio, listen to an audio book, something like that. And that's very therapeutic for me. And so, I want to keep doing what I'm doing. William Scooby says, I just came in and you're still at home. I'd ask how you're doing, but I'm afraid of the answer. Yeah, I get it, man. If you didn't get a chance to watch the replay, go back. I know some of you criticize me when I circle around and tell you what you've missed, but I lost the Kenworth today, but I got the Corvette ready, so I'm going to pick it up in the morning. And I'm still trying to hang on with SRO, but there's going to be a lot more information to share in the coming days. Tim Back says, ouch. Talking about the $87,000 that Russell spent. Tim back, yeah, I took care of my truck, but it seemed to still break down all the time. Sometimes you just get a lemon, and I wouldn't classify this KW as a lemon, but I would call this shop a lemon. The shop was the whole problem here. It wasn't the truck. This truck could have been fixed in a day if they'd have just quit screwing around. Maybe if you factor in ordering parts and everything, it could have been done in a week. It may have helped had I been at Swift or Dart because they would have called and leaned on the shop to hurry up. When you work for a small carrier, they don't care as much. So I get it. But still, I think I've got a lot of advantages doing what I'm doing. Tim says any truck can do that. It's a risk we all take. Just hope I can keep up long enough. So far, so good. Yes, sir. That's what we're all trying to do. Hang on until better times get here. Russell says, Tim back, it's all good. My Pete has a Cummins, not a pack car. I'll never buy a 2018 Kenworth. Well, what people are saying, not on the 22s like Russell has, but on the 23s and 24s, that they're having a lot of problems with body panels falling off, with electrical issues, things like that. So who knows? I heard the same thing about those ISX engines in the mid 2000s trucks, and several of you came on here telling me how great they are. So I guess it's true with any engine or any truck that there's going to be a few bad apples in the bunch. Tim says my pack car has not been a problem. It's just been the wearables engines running great. Yeah, that's same with me. It's the engine itself, the transmission's been fine. It's the PCM, it's the bunk heater, it was an oil pressure sending unit. My APU has been a freaking nightmare. I'm rethinking my thoughts on APUs too. Tim says, heck yeah, we work on the truck and Scott can take us to dinner. Yeah, right now you and I are getting a good laugh out of this. I'll bet he's not finding the humor in it, but it's all in good fun, Scott. Russell says, Tim back. Oh, yeah, wearables are the worst on it. On my way to trade it in, my KW would act like it wasn't getting fuel. It tried to stall from a dead stop and then would speed up to traffic. That sounds like maybe you might have had a clogged up fuel filter or something, but I'm sure you checked that. Hopefully it wasn't a fuel pump going out. No Fear says if you can get that W900 at a good price and it's in good shape, get it. Yeah, so the W9, I looked at it compared to what I found on truck paper, and it was right in the middle. I saw W9s, the same year model, in truck paper from anywhere from 42 to about 69,000, and it was in that range. So I don't think it's a great deal, and I don't think it's a terrible deal. Obviously, there's some things I don't like about the deal, and so me and the haggling hasn't began yet, but I'm not going to be so picky I lose out on a deal, though. I'll try to negotiate, and if that goes south, I'll probably jump on it if it's a good truck, especially after what you guys are telling me in here. Tim says he goes to shops to diagnose, then he buys the parts and fix it himself. Yeah, now the problem is with these newer trucks is like that PCM had to be programmed. So you put the part on, and then you still got to go to the dealership and get it programmed. So you'd have to get it towed to the dealership, and any savings that you would have had are negated by having to get it towed to a dealership and have them program it. No Fear says Cummins has all the parts. That's what I'm thinking. And I would download an app or something where I knew where all the Cummins dealers shops was. And instead of going to KW, I'd just go straight to Cummins and get it worked on. T. Curry says, what do you mean lost the truck? I mean the finance company kicked me out of it today, reclaimed it. They reluctantly did it, and it wasn't because they were mad at me or things went south. It was because I couldn't tell them when the Corvette was going to be done and when I'd be able to pay them. And so they got a little antsy. They were still reluctant to take it. That's why I say if I sell the vet tomorrow and get a decent amount of money for it, it might still be an option. But if I want to go a different route, I've got that option now too. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But as of now, the only thing I have left from that KW is one key that I forgot to give the shop. Tim says, I always ran my 13 speed like a 10 speed. I floated on all the high gears and left the pre-selector alone. Yeah, you can do that to a degree unless you got a real heavy load and you're in a lot of hills. But it can, hang on a second, it can be advantageous because you can split between the top few gears and really control your power and your fuel economy more. But I think a lot of people do like you do and drive it. It's actually more like a 9-speed because it has the granny gear and then it shifts the other 4. So it's a lot like a 9-speed. Robbie Ross says, is your vet bill going to break the bank? Pretty close, pretty close. I've been, I've been doing my best to hang on to every penny. We hadn't even went and bought groceries yet. We've been trying to save every penny we could because I knew the estimate was going to be higher than what he told me. And it is about $60 higher than what he said. So not bad, but estimates are always off a little bit. And that's what they are, is estimates. So I think I'm going to be okay. It's going to be really, really close. But I'm going to get through it. I don't have a choice at this point. I covered that, T. Curry, but I realize you put your comment a long time ago. It looks like about 15 minutes ago. Nope, Levi, it's gone. Now, tomorrow, like I said, they reluctantly took it, so tomorrow I may get it back, but there's no clickbait here. Those that know me know that I don't bluff and I don't clickbait. So have I ever done a video where I clickbait? Yeah, but typically speaking, if I put it in the title, then it's true. The truth is, it's just a respect for my audience. I've tried to be honest with you guys. Maybe sometimes I'm a little too honest or a little too revealing, but I try to be honest with you guys. Are you cold? Oh, I seen you like shiver. So she always gets on to me that when I do these videos, I have it too cold in here. But I like to keep it cool in case I decide to go play the piano in a minute. But no, it's not clickbait. The Kenworth is gone. The T680 is gone. I am looking at 2 other trucks, and I'm also looking at, talking to the finance company. So we'll see what happens. But as of now, yes, it's gone. I've cleaned out all my stuff. Matter of fact, after the show, I'm going to contact my uncle and see if I can put some of this stuff in his garage because my pickup is full. Russell says, oh, yeah, that's how these shops make their money, by not telling us what it'll cost in the long run, because that lines the shop's pockets when we keep dumping money in an old truck that isn't. Yeah, yes, sir, I agree with you. And the truth is, though, here's what shops have never understood. They would make the same money if they were just honest, and people would be more loyal to them. So if they, for example, if they told Russell, man, Russell, this truck's going to be a money pit. It needs A, B, C, and D. Then Russell could say, all right, can we Band-Aid it for now? And I'm going to trade it off and get something else. And guess what he would do with his next truck? He'd bring it to that shop because they were honest with them. But instead what they do is they do that step thing where they go through all these steps diagnosing your truck. And it takes the long way around, so it racks up labor. And then they go, oh, you need this, this, and this. And Russell goes, all right, I've got enough. Go ahead, do it. And then they go, oh, while we were in there, we found it also needs this, this, and this. And Russell goes, okay, I've still got enough. Go ahead and do it. And then they go, oh, well, when we fix this, it caused this to go. So now Russell also needs this. And all of a sudden, he reaches a point where he goes, well, I've got no more money. we're going to have to stop. And they go, all right, well, you can hold off for now, but this needs to get done soon. So then he's struggling for how he can do it again. Exactly, a truck that isn't reliable. Levi says, just bought my first truck, a 2018 Volvo 780. That is a great truck. The owner of the company that I'm leased to, Scott, that's what he drives, is a Volvo 780. And I believe it's around that year model. And it's a great truck. His is like yellow and it's really pretty. I would love to have that truck. And he said in about a year he'd love to sell it to me, but I'd love to have it now, not in a year. He's taken really good care of that truck, and whoever gets that truck is going to have a good truck. Craig Hutchinson says, hey, Todd. Hey, Craig, thank you for being here, sir. Shane Lee says, sorry to hear about you losing the KW. I remember you bought warranty for that truck, right? It didn't cover any of the issues. So the warranties, and I've had this question a lot, the warranties typically cover powertrain things. So engine, transmission, rear ends, things like that. Somebody said, well, why didn't it cover the starter? Because it was within the first 30 days. A lot of times in the first 30 days, they expect the dealership to take care of you. The dealership did ultimately take care of me. It took them like 3 months, but they wanted me to bring it to Dubuque, Iowa, and then fix it there. And I'm like, I can't drive it without a starter. And so I sent them the receipt. They ultimately did reimburse me. But yeah, the PCM, which is a computer, very few aftermarket warranties are going to cover that. The oil pressure sending unit, that's considered a normal wearable. And the bunk heater, that is not going to be covered either in most cases. Let's see. Tim Back says, in case, Todd, if I can't fix it, I go to a less per hour shop. These dealer rates are ridiculous. Yeah, once I get away from the PACCAR engine and go to an older truck, a lot of these other shops that aren't a shade tree mechanic necessarily, but you know the ones I'm talking about, a lot of them can work on it. Heck, a lot of your TAs and loves can work on them when you get into the older ones like that. So if it's something, if I watch a video and I go, I don't think I want to try that, it becomes a lot easier to find somebody that's able to do it. William Scooby says, is the shop going to hold you responsible for the repairs since it got repoed? So the way it works in Texas, and I guess it works that way in every state, if a vehicle, and I know this from my son's shop, if a vehicle gets repossessed while it's in the shop, the finance company or the repo company has to pay the shop before they can take the truck. So the shop will get paid before the finance company or the repo company has access to the truck. This may be an motivator and incentivizer for the finance company to work with me now that the Corvette's done. And they may say, screw Todd, we're going to take the truck. We'll pay the $5,000, and then they may sue me for it. They may eat it and put it on my credit. It's really too soon to know, but the mechanics, the way it's set up in Texas, and I think in most states, the mechanics aren't going to get screwed. They can't hold my personal property, but they can hold the truck until somebody pays them. Jesus, name above all names, says howdy from home in Grand Prairie, Texas. That's great, man. Thank you for being here tonight. Love your name on here and glad you're getting some home time. I can't believe it, but we're finally caught up on the comments. So if we're talking about the T680, which I'm assuming you are, the W9 I'm looking at is an ISX Cummins. If we're talking about the T680 I just lost, it was a PACCAR engine. It was a 2020. The bad ones that everybody's afraid of is 2016 and older. from what I understand. Evidently, they made some modifications to the engine. It was a great engine. It really depended on the load I had and the part of the country I was in. I had a few loads where I was able to run slow on flat land that I'd get like 10.5 miles a gallon. Also had a few loads where I got 6 miles a gallon. A lot of times I found myself around 8, but there at the end with my APU out and with me running faster, doing the speed limit, trying to get the loads there, I was getting, high 6s, low 7s. But the engine itself was great. Like I said, the PCM went out, which is a computer. And I had a bunk eater issue and an oil pressure sending unit that was leaking. I did have an air tank that leaked at one point, but it was all peripheral things. The engine and transmission and rear ends was great on that truck. And I want to say it was right around 600,000. I didn't check the miles today. Oh, good. Thank you, Alaska. He says, Todd, I got your back. I sent you an email. If we go look at that truck tomorrow, I'll shoot you an email, may shoot you some pictures. And if you can think of anything that you would check, like problems you've had with your truck or things you think I need to look for. Obviously, I know the oil leaks, the brakes, things like that, but I need to look for blow-by, things like that. But if there's little Achilles heels of that truck that you think I need to be aware of, I would love any advice that you have on stuff like that. Manny says, check out the Northeast market. I try to stay out of the Northeast. I get burned in tolls every time I go up there. Is it good right now? Ah, yes, I've heard this. He says, unfortunately, a lot of guys are giving up in the Northeast. Yeah, I've heard it's bad up there. Last time I went up there, tolls ate me alive. And so I need to run the other parts of the country. This time of year, I go up in the Northwest a lot and over to like North Dakota and South Dakota, because a lot of people are so terrified to run up there because of the weather that the rates usually go up a little, and you can make some money up there. Now you're like, Todd, you're an idiot for telling people that, because now everybody's going to go up there. No, there's a lot of people that are chickens, and there's a lot of people that don't know how to drive in bad weather. From working at DART, I drove in some terrible stuff. So I'm pretty good on the snow and the ice. I just take my time and easy does it. The brokers know the weather's bad up there. If you get in a snowstorm and you can't make it because you had to slow down to 30 miles an hour and put your flashers on, you just call them when you can safely and you say, hey, I'm not going to make it. I'll be there on this day. And most of them, if you give them advance notice, they're pretty cool with it. It's kind of the know when to hold them, know when to fold them thing. Know when to drive and know when to park. But I do have my tire socks if I need them. But I've only used them twice, and quite honestly, I just used them so I could do videos about them. I don't intend to put them on the ground again. If it's bad enough for chains or socks, it's bad enough I need to be parked. Has always been my take. And I've talked that over with Scott. I think, generally speaking, Scott agrees with me. I think his number one priority, being a small carrier, is he wants me to be safe. Obviously, he wants me to get there on time if I can, but he does want me to park if it's dangerous and if he thinks there's a chance of an accident. So I don't see him being a guy that would question me or arguing with me about stopping like a lot of companies do. And I've got that dash cam. If anybody ever doubts me that I'm in bad weather or something, I don't mind sending the footage. Oh, Manny, I misunderstood Manny. I'd heard the rates were terrible up there right now. Manny's referring to the price of trucks are totally down. Yeah, the prices seem to be coming down, but the down payments are ridiculous right now. And I think I could get a better deal. And then you got my travel up to the Northeast. I think if I could find, something in Midland, Odessa, or Amarillo, or even over in Dallas or something like that, that might be the way to go. Red Raider Reloading says, catching up. Good deal, my friend. I'm glad you're back. How'd the store go? How did the store go? Man, I can't talk. I got to drink some more water. Y'all hang on. Red Raider says, people get remarried after being financially ruined. Yeah, that's, you hear about people that married the same person 3 or 4 times. They'll get a divorce, get remarried, get a divorce, get remarried. And people don't say, well, why don't you just stay single? But I have one truck situation that gets a little hairy. And quite honestly, probably won't get it back. There's a possibility. But I don't know that that means I should never be an owner operator again, or I should immediately become a company driver right now. Alaska Hall says he has 1.3 million on his, owns since 900,000. So he's put 400,000 on it. So far he's done front and rear cover to fix oil leaks, replaced his VGT turbo to an old one, then did a bunch of little things. Yeah, I'm going to really look at those things tomorrow. But and I'm going to ask him about the turbos too and things like that, because evidently the factory ones were crap. But it sounds like you realized that was an issue and fixed it, so it's not a problem. Red Raider says, so why would you stop it? Why would it stop someone from being an owner operator? I think people deal with adversity different, and I want to be careful. I'm not criticizing anybody in here. I think people deal with adversity different, and my stress has been through the roof. I don't think physically I could take much more stress, but I'm just not the type to give up. As long as there's a little door I can squeeze through, I'm going to try to squeeze through and keep going. But there's no shame in being a company driver either. Like I was saying while you weren't in here, the company you're working at and the company I used to work for, I feel like both of those companies would be very interested in me if I ever wanted to be a company driver again. Alaska says mine's fully deleted, and if you need that done, I can let you know where. I'm afraid to do that, Alaska, and maybe this is where I need you to talk sense into me again. But I've heard that they're starting to hook up to the exhaust and check for deleted trucks, and that it's like a $25,000 fine. So on an older truck like that, there's less to check. So it'd probably be harder to catch me. But I'm afraid to get a deleted truck. And that's one thing I forgot to ask that guy, if it had been deleted or not. Having said that, I don't know if it's a deal breaker, but it does make me a little nervous. Alaska says he just replaced his diff yesterday, 3,500. But I run to Alaska, so my maintenance will be 3 times more than if I ran in the U.S. Yeah, on my bucket list, I would love to drive a truck up to Alaska. There was some ridiculous paying loads in Washington State going up there. But Scott doesn't allow us to go to Canada, Oregon, or California. So unless that policy ever changes, and I don't think Canada ever will, probably not going to be possible for me to go to Alaska, since you have to pass through Canada. But man, I love it up there. I used to watch a reality show from up there called Wild West Guns, and they were in Anchorage, and it was like a gun shop, and just seeing all the scenery and them shooting all those guns, I've wanted to go up there for some time. Of course, Ice Road Truckers in Canada, which I kind of think that show's rigged. But anyway, yeah, if the opportunity ever came up to go to Alaska, of course, I'd have to get a passport and all that. But it's just not it's not an option that's available to me right now. But I did see some ridiculous paying loads going up there. Even if you had to deadhead back, it'd still be worth doing. I haven't had anyone check my truck even when I ran in the States. Just stay out of California and you'll be fine. I need to get that on a t-shirt. Just stay out of California and you'll be fine. I think so, because really when I mean, and this is where my ignorance is going to kick in a little bit. So you guys tell me where I've got it wrong, but I'm thinking on a truck, a mid 2000s, and we're saying 2005 to 2008 or 9, something like that. Uh, well, probably 2007 or 8. The only thing that you can really delete is the DPF filter, right? Like, because you're not talking about DEF or none of that. So I guess what do they hollow out the the DPF filter, or what all's involved in deleting a truck of your age, Alaska? And what did that cost, if you don't mind me asking? Maybe my good friend Tim Back knows about this too, or if No Fear is here. This is like one of the greatest things about this channel is how we can all share information and help each other. I don't think the information they're giving me tonight is some of the best things anybody's done for me in the past 3 or 4 weeks. The stuff y'all are giving me right now is gold. I really thank y'all. Tim said that's what he heard. The only state checking for deleted trucks is Cali. I heard that too, but I heard that New Jersey and Illinois and some of the other blue states are getting ready to start checking. And I don't want to get a $25,000 fine if I can avoid it. Having said that, though, if I go check out that truck and it's deleted, that's not necessarily a deal breaker for me. Alaska giving me the information about what's deleted on a truck of that age. They cut the filter and put a straight pipe in a tune. It's around 3,000 to 4,000 with the tune and everything. It could even be cheaper. I can ask my buddy and see exactly how much it is. Yeah, that if they do it that way, it might be hard for the DOT to detect it unless they took it all apart, and they'd have to really be thinking there was something there to do it. If you were just putting through there, you probably get away with it. Alaska says, I know he charges $3,000 for newer trucks, but the older ones should be cheaper. Yeah, I think Diesel Doctor there in Effingham, I think they do deletes too. But I just, I don't know, and I don't think they're that high. But I haven't looked into it. Like I said, I've always been afraid to do it. Tim says his 06 Freightliner had DEF. Your W9 probably has DEF unless it's been deleted. Well, I don't think so, because my 08 Volvo did not have DEF, if I remember correctly. I don't think my 08 Volvo did not have DEF. So I think it just depends on the truck. No Fear says, just stay out of California. Yeah, that's not even an option for me. I'm not allowed to go to California. That's something I agreed to when I hired on here. So, yeah, if I want to go to California, it means park in Arizona and rent a car. Alaska says you can change the valve cover since those engines are all the same, and it can say it's a 2005, and technically they can't do anything. Huh. So that's what they go off on that, is they go off what the valve cover says. That would be an idea. That'd be a weekend project with my son. I'd go find me an 05 valve cover and on a bad engine or something, and they're all over the place, and then us swap it out. Because then it's basically, I'm afraid I'm going to say something dumb and y'all are going to eat me alive. But then it's basically like a glider, because it's got a different engine than the model of the truck, right? It's not technically a glider, but it's similar. No Fear says, true, Alaska. Tim Back says, check the VIN, Alaska. Or they checked the VIN, Alaska, so it's technically done. doesn't work. I'm not an expert on that. I've never had anybody say, hey, we're going to check your exhaust either. But I know if I go rolling in an older truck, they're more likely to check it than if I'm in a newer truck. But let me throw this out there too, though. SRO Logistics has a pretty good safety rating, and I think that weighs in a lot too. I don't think they mess with companies that has a lot of clean inspections and things like that. I know Scott's got a few clean inspections. I think Tim has had a couple of clean inspections. I've had a couple of clean inspections. And so they're looking for the companies that are above the threshold and things like that. Those are the guys that their truck looks like it's falling apart. So I think those are the guys that are more at risk to get checked. But it's always been a phobia of mine to drive a deleted truck. I wish Charlie was still in here from a minute ago because he had an old Freightliner and I was going to ask him if he had ever deleted it. They can check the VIN, but you tell them you put an older engine, is what Alaska says. Yeah. I don't know when they plug into your ECM if it shows them that, hey, it's not a 2005, it's a 2009 or whatever. Or I don't know what all information they can read on that particular engine. It sounds like I'd need to take that truck to Effingham and spend an afternoon there with those guys, asking them some pointed questions and getting the answers. That's the great thing about working for a small carrier like this. You know, if I call Scott and say, hey, I'm thinking about going to the diesel doctor and doing this to my truck, what do you think? You know, turning the road speed up or whatever. He's going to say, I don't care. It's your truck. I can tell you right now, I know what he'll say. But if I worked at Swift, Dart, Roadrunner, they'd say, oh, we got to get that approved. Even though it's my truck, Prime, any of those big companies. Scott, it's going to be like, hey, it's your truck, whatever. Just don't get a ticket, obey the law, drive safely. So that's what when I talk about the stress relief and the not being, you know, constantly badgered and micromanaged. He hates that word micromanage. And so he doesn't even like me using it in an example. So it's nice I don't have to think about, you know, if I get a truck and I go hook to my trailer, I got to go to Gulfport and get the stickers and stuff. Well, he's going to email me some of it. But then when I take off, if I say, hey, Scott, I'm going to Effingham and I'm going to tune my truck. He'll say, okay, your truck. And that's people, I think sometimes we forget what that kind of freedom feels like. Tim says it's much easier and cheaper to just stay out of California. Yes, sir, it is. Yes, it is. I ain't missing nothing out there. Alaska says they really care about the 2011 plus trucks because they have all the DEF and government can make money from that. Yeah, and that's part of why, you know, I wanted something in the 2000 to 2008 year model because there's not a day that goes by I don't wish I still had that 2008 Volvo. Maybe not in its current condition, but if it hadn't got wrecked, I would have been in such great shape right now. I mean, we were looking at buying a house and doing all kinds of stuff if it kept up. I can't tell you what the difference it makes in your life when you've got a paid off truck. Alaska goes all out. He says, you can swap the ECM to a 2005. Yeah, now I guess then I'll bet you could go to your diesel doctors and they could probably program it to where it thought it was a 2005. He says, or older. That's also Alaska Hall. He says, Alaska Hall also says, I honestly never worry about anybody checking my DEF. I've had a lot of inspections and nobody cares. I'll tell you something else they don't check, and I dang sure would be checking it. Remember when a lot of people were putting red dye diesel in their truck? They were filling it up like it was reefer, but they were really putting it in their truck. And there was some way stations that was checking for red dye diesel. But I don't think I've ever had a DOT officer ask me if he could look at my diesel to see what color it was. I've never done it, but uh, I think it's kind of hard to find red dye diesel now. Some truck stops have it and a few terminals do, but usually they just do regular diesel. Tim says if you're going to go through all the work of changing valve covers and stuff, all you have to do is delete the truck, but cover up and keep the fake def parts. There you go. It sounds like that's what he's talking about, because he said they hollow it out and run a straight pipe and put a tune on it and all of that. Alaska says he used to have the filter and it had holes in it, but then you can't straight pipe that. Okay. Tim says just bypass it without showing it's deleted. Yeah, we're in the part of the show where I'm just going to have to trust you guys. I'm admitting openly, you guys know a lot more about this than I do. I got a feeling tomorrow me and Alaska are going to be emailing back and forth, possibly phone calling, depending on how technical it gets. And me and Tim back are going to be talking on the phone, possibly calling Scott, getting his input. And I may even reach out to DIY. You can never have too much information. And you guys want to talk about foolish moves. It'd be foolish of me not to take advantage of all the experience and knowledge and wisdom that's here. So I'm definitely not a know-it-all. And anytime I feel like there's an area y'all can help me, I'm definitely going to reach out to you. No Fear says, Tim, his boss did that. Wow. And No Fear, how did it work? Did you, obviously your fuel economy went up. Does your power also go up when they do that? And did it make the truck more reliable like you were hoping? Or do you wish he'd have left it alone and never did it? Alaska says you can definitely leave the filter, make some holes, and get a tune. I just wanted mine straight piped. I love the sound. Yeah, I bet the Jakes will. I bet you can wake up the neighborhood with the Jakes. Alaska says he also deleted the EGR cooler. Wow. So No Fear says yes. So immediately after they did this, he had an increase in power, an increase in fuel economy, and he had less truck related issues. See, this is why I tell you guys, I'm pretty set in my opinions and the way I think about things. But tonight, we got several of you that you're making good logical arguments. And so you're swaying my opinion and my thought processes on things. So the longer this goes, the more that I'm thinking, hey, what they're saying makes sense. I'm willing to listen to them. I'm willing to consider it. So I really thank y'all for what you're doing tonight. Like I said, this is some of the most help I've received. And, you know, there's a lot of ways to help. Several of you have contributed financially. I appreciate that. So hundreds of you have contributed with prayers, and I appreciate that. But technical knowledge also, your experiences, good and bad, are helping me. Like Alaska telling me what he's had to do to his truck, things he thinks I ought to look for. You guys are just helping so much tonight, and I thank you for that. I never know how these shows are going to go, but y'all have steered it in a good direction tonight. Tim says, yeah, to be honest, if the oil looks and smells right and you don't see a lot of excessive rust, then it's probably a good deal. Stick your finger in the diffs and rub the fingers together to make sure. Yeah, I'll have to see how many tools I got with me tomorrow. I've got to offload my truck or my pickup. I've got so much stuff in my pickup that there's not even really room for passengers. And it's a super cab, or not a super cab, it's a crew cab. I got crap in the bed, crap in the back seat. But if I can clear out some space, Priority one's to sell the vet tomorrow, though, and everything else is secondary. Mark Ely is here. Says, "What's up, everyone? Thanks for coming in, Mark." Yeah, not a bunch of metal. That's important. Like I said, I hope I'm going to have some tools with me tomorrow, but I don't know. I'll have to make sure I got the right size wrenches and stuff. If I can get my son to go, he'll bring like a whole tool set with him, and we'll be set. And if we can go in his Jeep Cherokee or Grand Cherokee, whatever it is, we'll get better fuel economy than my lifted F-150 on 35s. But I'm hoping with it only having 680,000 on it that the diffs are good, but that's part of looking at the maintenance records and seeing what's being done. But I think that is good advice. I'll get into there and try to look for metal shavings if I can, because I don't need a $3,500 repair right out of the gate. Tim, I knew this advice was going to come from Tim because of the bad luck he's had lately. He says, make sure your wearables are decent. There's a lot to check, but trust your judgment. If it seems off, walk away. Yeah, I agree. Alaska says, how many miles are on the truck? It has 680,000. I'll email you the year. I don't want to put it here because I've really got some trolls doing some bad things right now. But let me see. I wish there was a way I could private message you. Let me see if there's a way I can send it to you. No, you said you sent me an email. Let me see if I can message you real quick. I just don't want to put it in here. And please, when I tell you, kind of keep it a secret because, oh, I think, yeah, there you are. Paula, I think I know what year it is, but can you double check me? It's 2 years older than your egg. No, the other older. So look at that message I sent you and make sure, because I don't want to tell him the wrong thing. Is that right? Okay. All right, Alaska, I just emailed it to you. I believe it's a 1/2-inch socket back of the diff plug. You should be able to touch oil, and it's pretty easy to get to, even for us fat guys. I prefer to think of myself as just really, really healthy. Thank you, Paula. All right, let's see. Alaska says metal shavings are on the bottom plug. You won't really know how the diffs are until you drain the oil. Yeah, and he's probably not going to be cool with me draining his diffs in his yard. He's got a couple of gallons of oil out there on the ground, but yeah, I agree with both of you though. That's definitely something important. Tim says, yeah, but you'll feel the shavings floating if it's bad. You're always going to have some shavings on the bottom plug. That's normal. But if you don't feel oil at the plug or you don't feel shavings floating, then it's real bad. You don't want it unless you have about $8,000 to replace the diffs. Yeah, I agree with you. And it's probably something a lot of guys don't check for obvious reasons, but I'm going to do my best to look over it as good as I can. 680 is just broke in. It kind of scares me because honestly, it's like really low miles for a truck of that age. So it makes me wonder why it didn't get ran more miles. And also the one in California, the T680, it only has like 260 something thousand on it. So a lot of people are drawn to it because the low miles, but I'm going, an 18 with 260,000. They said they had it on a short dedicated run, but stop and go can be hard on equipment. I would kind of like, I'd almost feel better if it had 800,000 on it. Tim says floating, then it's bad. You don't want it unless yeah. Oh, I already read that one. Sorry. 680 sounds extremely low for that year. The condition will show for sure if it's really 680. Mine at 900 look new. Yeah, that's another thing. I wonder if a dash cluster or something could be changed and the mileage is incorrect. So I'm going to do my best. Like I said, you look at a truck and you're always going to miss something. I'm going to do the best I can to check everything I can. It's not going to be a rush through. I'm there 15 minutes. Yeah, I'll take it type of deal. But you guys are giving me a lot of things to think about and consider. And quite honest, I'm surprised. I figured everybody was going to be a naysayer. Don't do it. It's too old. It's too heavy, this, that. So I appreciate you guys not killing me with negative comments tonight. Alaska says diffs usually go out around 1 million to 1.3. He's never had a diff go out at under 1 million. Alaska says you could plug in a computer and it should show the correct mileage unless he swapped out the ECM. Yeah, that's the problem on a truck that old. It's hard to know what's been done. I'm hoping that he's going to produce a lot of maintenance records that'll make me feel good about it. I kind of look at maintenance records different than a lot of people do. I'm not looking at maintenance records so I can beat him up about the truck. I'm looking at maintenance records so I can try to predict what's been done and what might need to be done in the future and how soon it might need to be done. So, if he tells me I did an overhead, 250,000 miles ago, then I know I may need an overhead here pretty soon. But if he says I did an overhead 5,000 miles ago, then I'm probably good on an overhead for a while. It's important to drop the diff oil every 500,000. By him checking at 680, he'll be able to tell if the guy's taking care of the maintenance. That's true. And maybe even if he has done it, maybe next service, I just go ahead and do it at that time. Either way, to make sure it's got fresh fluid and things like that. It's I get that on an older truck, I'm going to have to stay on top of it and watch those things. Every time it goes into the shop, I need to say, while it's in there, go ahead and let's do this too. While it's in there, go ahead and let's do this too. And so I'm not expecting to have something that I drive 12 or 18 months, 12 or 18 months maintenance free with no issues. I'm hoping that I can carry a decent amount of tools and maybe some spare parts of things that I think are problem areas or potential problem areas. And then I can take care of it a lot myself. And then the stuff I can't take care of, I'm hoping I can find smaller shops, stay away from the chain truck stops and the dealerships, and try to get better repairs out on the road. And then most definitely finding a shop here in Lubbock that when I'm in town for time off, it's there. They're looking it over. We used to, in the car business, we used to call it the blue plate special. And it's where you bring a car into a shop and they just look it over and they basically say, everything's good now, but at some point you may want to look at fixing that or fixing that. And so you can kind of prepare for it. But yeah, that's where we're at. Man, we hit 8 o'clock. Shoot, we're almost at 10 o'clock. Dang, it's getting late. And we've still got 44 here. I can't believe it. I'm sure we're boring some people with our maintenance talk, but you guys are really helping me a lot tonight. This is exactly what I needed. I've had a tough few weeks and I needed some positive comments and some good feedback. And I mean, there's been some constructive criticism tonight. We've had some people that think I need to become a company driver, and they're pretty serious about that. But we've also had some guys that I thought were really going to get on to me about looking at this truck, and instead they've gave me a lot of really good advice that's going to help me make an informed decision. And so I really appreciate y'all. I know I keep saying that, but thank y'all. Tim says, I personally do it myself every 300,000. I checked this one when I picked it up. The oil was pretty clean at 500,000. I'll do it again. It's 700,000 unless I hear any or feel anything funny before. There you go. Christian is here. Thank you for being here, sir. No Fear says your son should be able to work on that model. Yeah, he's able to. The problem is he's got so much work he has no time. And something every shop is struggling with right now is finding mechanics. People don't want to work anymore. They don't want to get dirty. And I mean, yeah, he could do it, but I might sit in his shop for 2 weeks. And he's got big contracts with the county, with the city, with a couple of car lots. And time is his problem. I don't even ask him anymore unless it's emergency, because he's just so busy. And it makes it hard to even see him go have a hamburger with him or anything. He's just so busy. But I did talk to him about going with me to look at that truck, and he's trying to see if he can clear out, a few hours of his day to go with me. Craig says, I wish gliders never got banned. Yeah, you and me both, man. But don't panic. They're going to come out with electric trucks, and we're all going to be saved. And if that don't work, they're going to have hydrogen trucks or propane trucks. Don't you worry. Politicians in Washington got an answer for us. They're going to solve all our problems. We just need to reelect them one more time. You okay, Paula? Yeah. Oh, I thought you were talking to Christy. Alaska says, since I've been on your channel, I've always said trucks with no def are the best trucks, LOL. Even when you got the Volvo, I was giving you tips in the comments. Yeah, I remember that. That Volvo, God bless that truck. It was ugly, but it was a good running truck. And it was a little underpowered. It had a 400 horsepower Volvo engine. But, that's the other thing. This W9 is 500 horsepower. But, I mean, it was the little engine that could. It was a good truck for what it was. Now, the radio didn't work in it. Radio's not a DOT requirement. But it really was a solid truck. There's not a day that goes by that I don't wish I still had that truck rolling down the road. No Fear says, I had a shop full of Hispanics. Put a water pump on. They was fast. Yeah. Without me sounding racial, isn't that cool about the reputation of Hispanics being hard workers? I mean, they take a lot of jokes for it, but they're hardworking people, and most of them are pretty good mechanics. I hate to stereotype, and somebody's going to say I'm a racist, and I'll probably get reported, but I don't think it's racist if I'm saying good stuff about a race. And Hispanic people, almost all of them I know are extremely hardworking. You got a couple of bad apples in every race, but I mean, around here in West Texas on this farmland, they'll get out there and work all day and not complain. When we were farmers, my dad would hire them every summer to help in the fields, and we always had good people that were hardworking. So, yeah, if I had a job like that, I would definitely try to hire Hispanic people just because of the reputation. Tim says, all right, my friend, good luck tomorrow. Call me if you have any questions. Have a good night. All right, my friend, take care out there. No fear. I agree. Best shops I've ever been to were in Laredo. Yeah, if your truck don't get stolen, I'd be afraid to get it worked on in a border town. All right, we've gone over 3 hours. If y'all got something, throw it up. If not, I'm going to wrap this up and get to bed so I can attack this tomorrow. We got a few more here. No Fear was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Man, everybody's coming in now. Christian says, what did I miss? Honestly, a lot. We've covered a lot of ground in the last 3 hours. When you get a chance, try to go back and listen. I don't want to rehash it all for everybody, but I did lose the Kenworth today, sort of. I might possibly get it back tomorrow. I'm looking at 2 other trucks. We've had a pretty extensive discussion about one of those trucks. So check it out, and we'll see. Hello from Minnesota, says 772 Minnesota Kid. Hello, 772. What's the weather like up there? Is it freezing cold? Alaska says, my friend owns the shop I was telling you about a few lives ago, and he works on a lot of new trucks, and I see how much problems the new trucks have. Plus, the cost to keep them going is very high. Yeah, and the other problem is even if you find somebody who can work on it, and even if the repair isn't high, it's finding parts for repairs right now. It's just the parts shortage is real. And it seems like you guys that are running around in these older trucks are able to get parts a lot easier. I mean, Alaska, you can probably go to Napa and get a lot of your parts, or Fleet Pride. And these new trucks, it's all dealer only. So I get what you're saying, man. I agree with you. Like I said, I may be hollering at you tomorrow. I'm definitely going to keep you guys in here tonight that's been commenting. I'm going to keep your comments and my thoughts tomorrow while I'm looking and while I'm deciding what to do. Now it's 46, just started raining, heard some thunder. Oh, I like when it rains. You can turn the truck off and don't have to idle and still get a good night's sleep. No Fear says Cummins has all his parts in stock. Yeah, and there's a pretty extensive network of Cummins shops that work on the trucks around the country. So it's I think that's where you have the best success, when you go to an actual Cummins shop and let them work on it. Alaska agrees that Cummins always has parts in stock. That makes a big difference. You know, I really like Volvos, but they have the same problem with parts. That water still has a little bit of a coffee taste to it. But thank you anyway. I appreciate it. All righty. I guess we're going to do it then. I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. I got to call my uncle and go see if I can dump a bunch of stuff in his garage tonight. Y'all have a great one. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the support. We'll catch you on Thursday night. If I got any news before that, I'll kick it out to all the members and get it out to the rest of you by Thursday morning so we can talk about it Thursday night. Y'all have a great night. Thank y'all for helping out. And Alaska says every dealer will work on Cummins. Yeah, that's true. So if I got in a bind and needed to go to a Volvo or a Freightliner dealer, they could still work on a Cummins engine, especially an ISX. And so, all right, man, I'm out of here. Thank y'all so much. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.